Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, John Tortorelli, and Joel Dells. Mr. Dells is back in the studio.
There we go.
This is episode 480. This is our NBA playoff predictions show. Drew will be following along with us through my voice because as we go through each series, I will also give his prediction for the series. Today, he's at a Mets game with his girlfriend, Alexandra. They're having a wonderful time. So we are here. Mr. John, you've been sitting everywhere. Dell's seat, Riv's seat. This is your first time in Drew's seat, though, I think.
Not my first time. I've sat here a few times before.
How do you like the view?
Yeah, what seat have you sat in the most?
Either Dell's seat or yours.
Hate to see that.
Definitely the two of
Which
yours.
one do you like the most? I think I'd ask. You think you like my seat the most?
I think they're all the same. Each seat's similar.
I don't like Dell's seat.
Why?
It's too much space. I feel
No,
like.
I love it because your seat is tight. When I had to sit here when it was me, Joel, and Drew, I had to push that back like 4 feet because my legs are.
I feel like I'm so far away in your seat.
No, right now, because look how far I'm from Joel's, right?
Okay.
But like, I like to spread out.
You're
you know
6'6". Yeah, I get it.
I like to spread out a little
Me,
bit.
I'd like to be like right here. You know, it feels great. Like I got enough space right here.
How was your birthday, bro?
My birthday was cool.
Hey, make sure you wish River happy birthday in the
Yeah,
comments.
my birthday was cool, man. Like the festivities are continuing to start. Like it starts today. I'm excited. People calling me right now.
Sources have told us that you've come into this podcast a little...
No, I'm definitely faded as hell. I'll tell you that. I'm definitely a little. I ain't gonna say I'm crazy, but I'm definitely a little. You know what I'm saying? So I
So
feel
for everybody out there, how old are you turning?
I turned 27. Like I'm
Damn.
hitting that age. 30 in 3 years.
You are close to 30.
Close to
Dude,
Unc.
yeah, like I'm Unc. No, I'm Unc. It ain't close. I'm Unc. Like I'm definitely Unc. I feel good
We're
though.
the same age.
We are. No, yeah.
I feel like you get on me for being a little older.
Cause you turned first. No, we're not the same age.
I'm 27.
You turned 28 in December though.
Yeah, but you just turned 27.
Yeah,
I'm
nah.
not
So you're at the
28
same
till
age.
another.
Kind of sort of. You 97. I'm 98. That's the difference.
It's a 4-month difference.
It is.
How many years ago did you graduate high school?
We both graduated
Almost
the same year.
almost 10 years. We about to hit our
How does that feel?
we about to hit our anniversary.
You going back?
No shot. Are you going?
Nah. One of Drew's
I'll
friends
go if you go.
actually. They're having a reunion. Oh no, that was for my middle school, not high school.
I'll go if you go. No cap. Like I'll be in there with you if you go. Like we can stand next to each other.
Well,
though.
Drew's gonna be there too. So.
Oh, so we can all go. Just sit next to each other. Like, hey, how's life?
It's one of those things that I'm not interested in doing at all.
Nah.
Ours
I
is
have
ours is
zero
next year.
interest. Hey, what's up? It's like just it's a measuring stick.
I feel like I'll see the same people I've seen in the past 3-4 years. So it's like,
No, I mean there are people there you haven't seen in a minute, but no one I really need to see. You know what I mean?
you know what I'm saying? Like I see who I need to see. I see who's important. You know, and listen, I got a lot of love yesterday for people I care about. You know, and I think that was dope. I don't really give a fuck about a lot of people. I think that's what I noticed yesterday. Like when people was telling me happy birthday, certain people I was just like, bro, I don't care if you said this to me.
That's kind of messed up.
It's
You
the
say
truth.
like people you actually know or like
Yeah,
internet?
like people I know, like respectfully, I was sitting there like it was certain people who was telling me happy birthday, and I was
because
like,
you don't hear from. There's some people you,
Yeah,
you
like-
look at your text and it's happy birthday. You don't really talk.
yeah, and I was sitting with certain people. I'm like, yo, bro, that ass, like, I'm not telling you thank you. Like, I don't care
That's
that you
kinda
tell
crazy.
me.
That is
I feel like
crazy.
if I open the message, I'm gonna say thank you. There's
Well,
sometimes
I
I
can
don't
see it. Like, I could see you. I could see you in my thing. Like, I saw
not
like
gonna open it.
all the people I needed. Like John texted me on the private, happy birthday. I needed that.
Yeah.
Joel posted me. You posted me. I needed that. Like, I need the specifics to acknowledge who I am that day. But other people, I'm like, bro, I don't
What's
give a
your
fuck.
what's your checklist for a successful birthday acknowledgement? Like, is it just is a private text okay? Is it a post on social media? Is it multiple posts across multiple social
Yeah,
media?
that's a good question.
Like,
Posts on
who
Yeah, that's a
who
good
is
question.
like? What's your measuring stick for? Okay, this person
I like
passed
that.
the test.
Okay, all right. I like Joel. You're cooking here. We're getting to the specifics. So if you are my girlfriend, I need a fat ass paragraph. I need 50 posts on Instagram. I need that. I need money sent to me. I need all that type of stuff. If you my bro, either a private text or a post is nice. So John, send me a little private text. You guys post me. That's all I needed. I don't need nothing extra. If you my friend, I just need like that's it. Either a private text or a post. That's all I need. I just need you to acknowledge that this is my day. This is the day I was born, and that you care about me. That's all I need. So if you like certain people, if you happy belated, that's cool. But like, unless you like people who I consider like I hang out with all the time, and like you my bros and my sisters and my family, I need that same day. I can't get a belated. Like I can't like if Joel hit me on some belated shit, I'm looking at you. Yeah, I'm looking at you there like, come on, bro. Like that's all I ask for. So that's all. Like I don't even care if it's nighttime. Like that was he posted me nighttime, but I'm like I don't care. Like as long as
he
it's
did
same,
it like at 11:59.
Yes. As long as it's the same day, bro. That's all I ask. Either a private text or like a post, and I'm good. That's all I need.
I think high school reunions, I think the allure of them is lost because of social media. Anybody that you can follow, you just follow online. And I don't need to really see you in person.
Yeah.
Because if we make plans, I could do it like through text or something.
Yeah, I mean, John, you graduated high school like 2 years ago, so you got a while.
Yeah, over 3.5 years ago now. I guess it's gonna be
really
4.
Over 3.5. When you say 3.5 years, that's like when a kid's like, 8.5. So
bro, we're hitting 10. This is crazy.
I know.
Yeah, 10 is insane. The time flies.
2026
like this.
is our year, man.
2026.
Yeah, John, here, the young buck that's
John
taking the
been
Bucks
19
over
for
the
like
Pacers.
6 years, bro. So it's
You really are Tatum.
I'll take what I can
This
get.
has been a pretty eventful week. We had Nursesh come to New York City, so we linked up with them. We did a lot of content. That's going to be out on TikTok, and we might put some things up on Patreon as well. We recorded, I think, an hour and 20 minutes, worth of content. So that'll be out this week. So shout out to Carson and Logan from Nursesh. Sure. Also, House of Highlights just posted something that we did a couple weeks ago. Maybe I would say a month ago, maybe 2 months ago.
It might just be hitting the most.
It's 1 OG versus 10 Gen Z fans. We're debating with OG, who's been a lovely guest on the show. He's a friend of ours, a family guy at this point.
That's family.
We really look at him as like just an uncle
I say
figure.
He's family. Nerd Sesh's family. Pee Wee's family. I think we can consider those guys like family for sure.
And we did that content over at House of Highlights. So if you guys want to check out that video. And we got to pay the bills. So we got to talk about Prize Picks. And Prize Picks, they got this new thing that I was unaware of, that you could win NBA Finals tickets. And all you have to do is create a $5 3-pick flex NBA lineup in the playoffs. Every lineup equals one entry to win a VIP trip to sit courtside at the NBA championship. Now, I cooked up a little 2-pick thing for Prize Picks, and when I like to do picks, I like to find the bargains, the ones that are more likely to happen. I don't like going off of emotional instinct. Oh, Luka, I'm a fan of him. 33. I'm going more than that.
Looking Chris Dunn 2.5 points.
Yeah, I'm looking at things that, you know what? I think that can happen in the first quarter, in the first half, a sweat-free kind of deal. Mitchell Robinson, more than 3.5 points. That's what he's at. 3.5 points. I'm thinking a lob, an offensive rebound, and a putback. I think he could get that before the second half. And then James Harden, 1.5 made threes. More than that. Two step backs. He's going to take about 8 to 9 threes. Can he make 2 of them game 1? He's energized. I think he will. So that's my 2-pick Prize Pick submission. $20 to win $40. Now you guys can tell me and go with it. Now I'm going to ask you fellas a group of questions, because you can also put more or less on full stats for the NBA series that are going on. Luka Doncic, more or less 29.5 points for the series against the Wolves.
He owns Minnesota. I feel like he dogged them last year. They haven't changed like anything major for them for me to say that they can guard Luka. Jaden just doesn't have the body type, and I don't think has the tank to guard him.
Unless Jalen Clark plays.
Interesting. He's 6'4".
He's burly.
Yeah, but Luka's 6'7".
6'6".
Rudy can't guard him either. So I'm locking that in. And listen, if Luka get back to that vibe, you definitely could see Lakers championship aspirations. So I'll lock that in for saying more.
Luka averaged 33 last year in their 5-game series, and Kyrie played splendid as well then. I think this year is a little bit unique. It's a different situation. I think the Lakers have, and what they're going to try to do is play 5-on-out with a lot of floor spacing, which is going to give Luka a lot of freedom. So I think it's a high line, but it's one that he could easily get.
You're going more?
I'm going more.
Anthony Edwards, more or less 28.8 points.
He'll have the volume. I also don't think the Lakers have any guys who can stop him on at the POA attack.
Nobody.
Yeah, they don't have any dangerous rim protectors for me to say they can stop at the rim. Now, I will say Ant's mid-range is funny. It's broken. But with the 3-ball,
Not in the
the
playoffs.
paint, that's a fact.
He was elite last
He
year, yeah.
definitely turns it up in the playoffs. I'll go more, I'd say. I think he'll have the volume. He'll be able to take as many shots, and they'll need him to.
And now we have two more for, you can argue, the best series in the first round. That's what I try to do. The Lakers-Wolves, the best series in the first round, you could argue.
Correct.
And this other
You
series,
cannot
one of the
argue that.
best series
You
in the
can
first
argue
round.
that.
I don't think
Clippers
so.
and Nuggets. Kawhi Leonard, 25.5 points, more or less.
More. Oh, dude,
Go
who's
more.
guarding him? AG?
Aaron Gordon.
Crying.
That's like one of the best physical matchups.
I'll
in
be
the
honest,
NBA.
though. Kawhi's in the mode. If Kawhi's in the mode, I don't care who's guarding
There's
him.
nothing he can do.
I don't care who's guarding him. Respect to AG. I don't even want to. I don't want to make it seem like I'm disrespecting Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, you are.
It's unfortunate, but when Kawhi's in a mode, there's just nobody that I feel like can stop him. I'm going more.
I'm also going more 24.5 against his Denver defense. Probably gonna play a lot and drop. I believe Kawhi is gonna have a hell of a series.
Nikola Jokic, 28.7 points.
Zubac. Speaking of great matchups, that's one of the
That's his
first few
guy.
matchups.
That's a guy that
he
bothers
pulled
him a lot. But it's the best player in the world. It's the Joker. So I feel like taking the less would feel like disrespect to him. But Zubac gives him a ton of problems. Kind of the same physical, body, 7 feet, big, burly, probably a little bit more athletic than the Joker. I feel like with Zubac, strong, physical, loves that physicality. Less feels like disrespect, so I'll say more, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 26 points a game because Zubac has been that great against the Joker.
I believe that Zubac is such a good defender on Jokic. The Clippers will task him with being on an island one-on-one with Jokic, and for that reason, I expect Jokic to hit the more. And it's interesting. I saw a comparison by NBA In Depth. They have a great Instagram account. Lucas, I think his name is. He kind of made a comparison with Zubac that was to Marcus Gasol, and I think Marcus Gasol is one of the premier matchups historically if you're to put him on Jokic, and Zubac is so similar in many ways. So I believe that's going to be like one of the best series, one of the best matchups in the first round.
I think this was more for almost
Yes,
every
took more for
player
everything.
I
So,
named.
absolutely.
I'm not going to take.
I feel like
I'm not going to take Gunner for Kawhi points. Luka, based off last season, I'm comfortable going more. The Ant-Man thing, if I'm going more on Luka, I'm going to go more on Ant for 5
Kawhi
less
shit was low
points.
too. He was the lowest out
24
of
and
all
a
of
half,
them.
yeah, because last postseason he was hurt the last time he played in the playoffs. And
I like the Kawhi one the most out of all of them.
It's an
too.
easy steal. I
It
feel
feels like the safest
matchup
one.
for
It
him.
feels like I think he's going to score 28,
like. He's
more
gonna
than
dog
25.
Aaron Gordon. With all due respect,
Oh, we know that. We know that. It's going to get switches onto
their guys.
Christian
Oh.
Brown.
no, I'm sorry, bro. He really.
one-on-one, Aaron Gordon's one of the best.
Kawhi's the
defenders in the
best.
NBA.
Stop.
Do you see what I'm saying here?
I understand what you're saying. Aaron Gordon is a tough matchup.
He's a
but
tough matchup.
He's so, I'm so
is
like
Kawhi
acting
Leonard.
like
Cool.
we're acting like this is someone completely else here.
this is like one of the best.
You know,
ISO scores in the league.
outside of the 2023 playoff run, when was Aaron Gordon ever looked at as like a lockdown defender?
He's getting
I think
disrespected.
that playoff run did a lot for his defensive
John, he's
reputation.
been lately. He's been disrespecting Denver.
Because Anthony
and
Edwards
I know
last
you, I know
year
you've noticed.
cooked Denver.
That's a bad
yeah.
matchup.
It didn't
that's not,
matter.
that's not Aaron Gordon
AG.
matchup though. You can't expect him to go out there and guard something explosive.
Kawhi looked a lot slower than
Physically,
Yeah.
because
He
Kawhi,
is.
Kawhi's gonna have a tougher time bumping and getting to his spots on AG. Than,
What?
You heard what I said. When you say what, it's
Have
like,
you seen
yeah,
what he's
yeah,
done to
dude.
Lou Dort?
Lou Dort's 6'3", Aaron Gordon 6'.
But Lou Dort is physical, and Kawhi has moved him. You know
I
what
would
I'm saying?
rather Aaron Gordon be guarding Kawhi than
Oh,
Ant-Man.
for sure. But also, they don't have no rim protection. So like you ain't like Aaron Gordon's fine if you have some rim protection.
I just feel like when in the history of basketball, before 2023, that we talk about Gordon as
that's
a
because he got to
lockdown
Denver
guy.
and they
say,
asked him to
he's
play.
being disrespectful.
They asked him to play a specified role starting in
I mean, he's
2022
in
when he
Orlando,
got there.
man.
I just feel
where
like
we
for a
get.
defense that has been terrible all year
2021
long,
we
we're
got
putting
there.
a lot of stock in
But
like
Aaron
a
Gordon
lockdown
individually
guy.
is
Because-
a great player.
In Orlando, he was a key part of a top 10 defense perennially, Nikola Vucevic.
Yeah.
And Nikola Vucevic was never this, lauded, appraised rim
He's
protector.
actually
He wasn't a
terrible
good
at it.
defender. It's got John Isaac,
Probably
Aaron Gordon, Markel
just as
Fultz,
bad as
good
Jokic
defenders.
defensively.
oh my God, he's
And
getting
they're a
disrespected.
perennial
This
top
shit.
10 defense. Last year, the Nuggets were a top 8 defense last season with Aaron Gordon and KCP. I
They're the
believe
22nd in defense rating this year, though.
Aaron Gordon missed some time, to be fair.
Yo,
The
John,
Nuggets.
have you noticed the disrespect that he's been playing on your team lately?
the matchup I like in this year is Christian Brown and James Harden a lot.
Good, I like that
I
because
like
we're going to
that
talk
for-
about
okay.
matchups. But if you guys want to help support the podcast, use code PAS. You play $5, you get $50 in. Don't forget that if you play $5, you get an entry. You got to make 3 picks. You get an entry to potentially win tickets to the NBA Finals. So if you want to support the podcast and also have an entry, you can go use our code on PrizePicks, PAS. I feel like the Western Conference has the best playoff series in the first round. I want to start with them. We can get the easy ones out the way, or the easy one out the way. OKC is going to potentially face Memphis or Dallas. I guess here's where we make our Dallas and Memphis prediction. My gut feeling is telling me Dallas. I think this is a lost season for Memphis. I think they're going to miss the playoffs.
My intuition is that John Morant's probably least favorite matchup is going against Anthony Davis and meeting him at the rim. And I think last night we saw, too, just how versatile and flexible they are at the forward spot. And I think for Memphis, you saw a little bit of Ja's ankle injury, Riv, that he wasn't quite... He had some highlight plays, but he wasn't quite the same force downhill attack in the rim that he was a few years ago, even in 2022. So I do have a lot of comfort here at Dallas, and that's why I'm picking the wins while they're on the graphic, too.
Yeah, I think that's a tough matchup because you have Dallas coming off such a impressive, if you want to call it impressive, win over the Kings, who are... That's a whole nother subject. The Grizzlies went bar for bar, though, with Golden State. You know, that came down to the wire. A couple of those calls in that fourth quarter would have gone the other way, like they probably should have. You know, you could have seen Memphis potentially being the 7th seed and Golden State being in this matchup. But I do think it's a different matchup. Even though Golden State is better, I think some areas, like having Anthony Davis, is going to present different problems. And I don't really know how Ja is going to be looking. You know, this is a couple days after he rolled his ankle, so you'd think he'd be more healthy. But even still, it could take some time. It could take a week if you even have a low ankle sprain to get back to the explosive player that Ja Morant is. With that being said, I'm still taking Memphis. I think Dallas, just not having Kyrie Irving out there, you could do a lot through Anthony Davis, but I still think Memphis. We saw Desmond Bane have a fantastic game. I think Jaren Jackson bounces back, has a better offensive game. And I think Zach Edey won't be as exposed as much as he was at times in that Golden State matchup.
Oh my God, your Zach Edey tweet killed me, bro.
His?
His. It really killed me.
He had a positive impact, plus minus.
Yo, bro, plus minus really lied.
No, because we watched that first half together. There were some moments where he was so bad.
He had like 4 plays he should have done.
Offensive, like rebounding, Edey was amazing.
Half of them are put back.
Half of them are, and he's 7'5", and Golden State plays small. I'm really trying to figure out why he played so much, because I feel like that at certain points it looked like eat and drop he was struggling. Finishing at the rim, he was struggling. You know, and just on defense he was struggling in general. But he was helping out on the glass. Him being that good of a rebounder is really important for them and for his development. Obviously, hopefully he gets better, of course. I'm looking at Jaren Jackson. Like, Jaren Jackson not being able to rebound is the problem for why this team can't put him at the 5 and go small against these teams that go small. Because if you was able to put Jaren at the 5, you could have combated with Golden State's small ball lineup. But you cannot do that. And I think now in this specific matchup where you're playing, I tweeted about this shit, like Dallas plays 2 wings and 3 bigs, or like 3 wings and 2 bigs.
2 rim protectors and
now
forwards.
you're putting that, and Zach Edey fouled out the game where he was like at 5 fouls. Yeah, it was like he's gonna foul. So now you're sitting there, you have AD down low, you have Derek Lively down low, Clay, Najee Marshall, and all these. You have this big lineup, and Ja's gonna struggle in this matchup. These are the matchups he's struggling. The guys where you have a guy in the perimeter who's 6'7", 6'8" that can guard him, and then you have somebody at the rim who's 6'10", 6'11", athletic. These are the matchups he struggled with. Like, unless he gets into that mid-range bag. But like you mentioned, we don't know how severe that ankle injury is. Like, we don't know how bad it is. You saw him late in the game the last game. He was limping, kind of tried to go through it, but you can see clearly the athleticism was lost. You know, the explosiveness was lost. But in a matchup like this where your front court is kind of elite defensively, I don't know what Memphis is going to do. Desmond Bane played amazing last series, but this is kind of a struggle matchup for Memphis. And obviously I'm going to pick Memphis because of bias, but I'm more nervous in this matchup than Golden State, because Golden State, Memphis matches up well against. Against Dallas, they don't match up well against, because this is kind of a weakness for them. So we'll see how it goes. I do think Edey is going to have a good game, but then again, you're playing against other 7-footers. So like against Draymond, against Jimmy, Edey was going to destroy the glass. Now you have Derek Lively, AD down there and stuff like that. Daniel Gafford is another guy down there that you got to worry about. And then, like, is Jaren going to get in foul trouble, which is something that's been hindering? Is he going to be able to be effective on the offensive end, because AD is probably going to be guarding him on one of those other bigs. So I'm interested to see how it goes. And then on top of that, Memphis is missing their POA guys, so I think that's really important for just their totality of their defense, to where it puts so much pressure on the guys at the rim that's going to have to help out, because a lot of their guys are getting beat off the dribble with quickness. Like, it's Ja, it's Luke Kennard, it's Santi Aldama. They're getting beat off the dribble easily, so now you have to put an attentiveness at helping at the rim, which leaves shooters open. But, Dallas is like a funky-ass offense that just prides himself on rebounding the ball. But I got Memphis just off straight bias. I think this is going to be an extremely tough game.
To your point about Edie, I think there's a lot of selective watching when it comes to people that
we all watched
players don't like.
Maybe it was groupthink, but all 6 of us at the table were like,
I think the selective
bad.
watching was you outside of all of us.
I don't think so. I think in the first half there were some easy things that he missed that you wish he had back.
7-5.
And those are the frustrations with him that you wanted him to clean up. But I think outside of rebounding, he did have an impact defensively. He deterred shots at the rim.
And
When we
Butler
talk
had
about
38 points
when we talk about rim deterrence, they didn't take shots at the rim because of his presence down low.
I don't know. I seen there was one game. There was one
after open look.
There was one possession where Zach Edey's ass was in the paint. Jimmy Butler was out of the perimeter, not getting guarded because he don't get guarded, and he still drove past him. Like Zach Edey was 2 feet away from the rim and still got beat to the rim.
Just so
I thought
slow-footed.
his size was needed for that specific matchup, and he played his role.
He did.
And he's a rookie, and I think
did.
That's also
I think
shit,
that's
but
that's the leeway with him, is that he's a rookie. He had 17
You don't get
rebounds.
many leeways as a 4-year senior coming out as a rookie.
I think you're a rookie. You're a
Robert
rookie.
thinks
You have
so.
to adapt to the NBA, and you have to play a full season to see what you need to get better at and how you
said
need
quicker.
to become
can't.
ready
It's
for
gonna be-
next
it's
season.
fucking huge.
I think the problem with Memphis is that they have a lot of B+ guys, and that's not good enough to make you valedictorian. You gotta have an A player
You've
on
been
your
thinking
team.
of that, huh?
And I just thought of it now.
But bro, you don't need a valedictorian to be Dallas.
I know, but you gotta have an A player. You gotta have a true
You didn't need
star,
an A player
true
to
stud.
beat Golden State that night.
I'm not saying you did, but I'm saying that's the overarching problem with Memphis overall. Is that you have a bunch of dudes who Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, John Morant, all in a vacuum are fine. They're great players in their own right, but they're not needle movers. And when you have 3 dudes
don't agree with
who
that.
all at the same time, they're not providing immense value all the time, it's just really tough to win anything meaningful.
That's just not true at all. This team was a 3rd seed 2 months ago. Like I just like we.
and it was fake.
I mean, the Kings.
It
were,
wasn't-
The
I don't
Kings
think it was
were a
fake.
3rd seed. They were like a B+.
No, but
team.
this team has been a 3rd seed multiple times.
But this is also
And those were fake.
one
That's
game.
what I'm saying. This is not. No, they're not fake. You
They
can't
were
say
fake.
No, because they did
They
it
lost
twice.
in the
You can't
first
say it's
round.
fake.
They lost in the first round when they were the
Well, they
second
played a
seed.
Lakers team that went to the WCF.
Okay, but
then they played the champions
but
before that.
that team was a fake second seed. That's what I'm saying. They're not
That's
really
not
that
a
good.
fake second seed
Yes,
if they
they're-
lost to the guy.
they're not
team that
really
won the
that
WCF.
good.
Second seed is crazy.
Come on.
I
They're not
think
really
it's-
that
I think
good.
that's
Next
a-
year.
They lost to the W.
They're not that good.
They
Things
got
went
more
their
games
way.
on the Lakers than the Lakers got on Denver.
They lost in 5.
They lost in 6. You lied.
6?
You lied.
Still,
You
it
lied
felt like
bad.
5. That's
no, it didn't.
embarrassing.
You lied.
It
No, no,
did-
no,
it
no,
did
no.
feel like 5.
It did not
was
feel
an
like 5.
embarrassing
The team was
series.
hurt.
You picked Memphis to win that series.
makes
You
no-
didn't think
that-
it was fake.
That makes no difference to what the outcome of the series was. The outcome of the series was that they looked like they didn't belong on the floor.
Okay,
Oh,
but
my
Joel, I
God.
think you're missing the point because this is one playing game. This isn't who's gonna beat them or OKC. This is just who's gonna win the
single
playing
game
game. It's not they don't
either,
have to play.
So
no,
wait,
the
is-
whole point. The
Is
whole
Golden
point is
State
that
fake to you?
no,
Why? Why not?
because they're a great team.
That
Since
okay,
Jimmy
so okay.
Butler.
That great
They got an
team just went bar for bar. They have 8. I agree with you. They have valedictorian players. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler. That team, Memphis could have beat that team, literally the other night.
They had a chance to tie
Couple
the
calls,
game.
Like,
Yeah,
but
let-
they didn't get it back off
first of all, and I
anything.
want to start by saying this: the referees were bad on both sides.
They were.
The referees were horrible on both sides. John Morant got hurt. That team was hanging around. So for you to say that, I feel like I don't know if this is the same team who me and you are. We're not on the same page. We're on the same page. We think Golden State is a top 3-4 team in
In
the
a
West.
one-game elimination, anything can happen. This can go down to the wire. But if they met in a series, I think it'd be a 5-game
Okay,
series.
yeah,
at
but
most.
this isn't a series. This is
I
one
mean,
game. You know?
yeah.
But also, I
Overall,
mean, they
Memphis
came back. They were
is
down
just-
20 in that game too, and they
I mean,
still had to come back.
we are talking about they did go down to the wire with Golden State, and yet
Also
I
crazy.
think everybody here outside of Riv, because he already showed his cards that he's only picking the Grizzlies because of bias. We all think Dallas is probably going to win.
I picked Memphis. I think it could
Yeah,
go
I think
either
you
way. I
picked
think it's a
Memphis.
split. I think it's 50-50.
Like, I think Memphis should want to lose this game. They have a lottery protected pick. If they win, they don't get that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you would want. You don't. I don't think you need more young players in the building.
You need to do something. You need to add more talent to the team.
To me, this matchup feels closer than what Memphis Golden State was. I thought Golden State, and they were up 20. They, kind of left their foot off the gas. But that to me felt like Golden State.
That's because Dallas is a worse team. And hypothetically, Memphis should beat them because they're a higher seed. But I think Dallas, since Anthony Davis has been healthy,
Dallas is a worse team, but they're a better matchup.
Yeah, I hear you, John.
Team. And one thing
they don't even have a guard that can create.
Brandon Williams is their best guard. He's playing very well, so I'm not going to talk negatively on him. One thing that was interesting in that playing game is how, and Tomas Islo talked about in the post-game presser, he was straight up. They asked, I think it was Nate Duncan, why they matched up Zach Edey and Jimmy Butler, and he said, well, we know that Jimmy Butler's not going to take a lot of pull-up threes, and we know that Sharon's going to get in foul trouble if he's guarding Jimmy. So we started on Zach Edey on him. Jimmy has 38 points, and an amazing game, gets to the foul line 18 times. And then Jaren still ends up with 4 fouls. And I think in this matchup, they need the best version of Jaren Jackson. I'm not expecting the best version of John Morant just based off of who's going to be guarding him. And you didn't really feel his offensive impact, the floor spacing. He was getting open looks. He was not hitting them. They need Jaren Jackson to have one of those offensive games where he's spacing the floor, he's making shots. And he's the one that's kind of filling in, stepping up in place of Ja with maybe not 100%.
Yeah,
I think the collective thought last night when everybody was watching the Kings and Mavericks was, it's over for the Kings. I think they should blow it up.
They already kind of are.
They need to.
I feel like we knew that coming into the year. Damn near.
Step down.
They need to. It's a team that's stuck in mud. How far away is Memphis from being in that same situation?
Far.
From being the Kings?
Are they that far away from being like, this is not working? Maybe
when they've been healthy. Relax.
What are you doing?
They missed the playoffs.
They were
but they
just
win playoff
literally
series.
3 months ago.
They've at least won a playoff series.
And
in the last.
they're not
the Kings
that.
weren't close to that.
They fell off.
Yeah, I agree.
And they fired Taylor Jenkins, who's a great head coach.
Yeah, I'm not.
And this guy who's now their new head coach might not be as good.
But they were also losing with Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, they're losing with this dude too.
Yeah, but they're not. Comparing them to the fucking Kings is
crazy.
ridiculous.
Listen, if you want to say they're the same because neither of them are going to win a championship, none of them have a top 5 player, that's fine. But the Grizzlies have shown when they're healthy, they're a top 3-4 seed out west more often than not.
They've won 1 first-round series.
The Kings have won 0.
In this competitive,
they were close 30 years.
In this competitive of a West, I don't know who the Grizzlies could beat in their first round outside of the Rockets.
Well, this team probably nobody.
Nah,
this team probably nobody.
And teams only going to get better.
The Grizzlies could also get better. The
Grizzlies can get better.
How much better can they get?
Well, they have to get rid of all the guys that can't guard anybody. They don't have anybody that can guard anybody. They literally have 4 guys that can't guard anybody.
He was supposed to be their point.
They can't guard anybody.
Should never let Dylan Brooks walk, man.
Vince Williams can't guard.
If the
Santi
Grizzlies
Aldama can't guard. Ja can't guard. Well, obviously. Desmond Bain can't guard. They cannot guard.
If the Grizzlies were a cup of water, how much would it be filled?
Half.
Half?
There's some questions with this Grizzlies team. I'm not going to go as far as say the Kings.
I think it's almost filled up.
I think
in terms of like
in terms of like they're reaching their potential. Like the potential.
I don't think this team's gonna win a championship.
The question is really with Ja, we're gonna get the same version of him we saw 3 years ago, where he was averaging 27 points when he most improved because he took an insane jump as a scorer, and then the playoffs was amazing. And with all these injuries kind of reoccurring, this is a young team that I think pays attention to the outside noise a little bit too much, where they're too young for their own good, and I think they let these outside distractions kind of dictate and control them as an individual group. It does feel like they reached their ceiling. And the biggest question is if we're not going to get the same version of John Morant, it's only going to be downhill, I think, from here because they've had multiple different swings at the pinata in the lottery, and I think they've missed. Taking Zach Edey over Kel'el Ware, after this year, you could say it's early, but I feel pretty firmly that Kel'el Ware is the better option. And then, of course, the Zaire Williams pick as well. That was another thing they took a leap of faith on. There's just been a couple of different inflection points where Zach Kleiman, their GM, has tried to be bold, and now it's supposed to be the move that took them over the top. It took them from 2 seed to where Oklahoma City is now to a slighter degree. And quite frankly,
trading for Marcus Smart.
Yeah. That was a miss.
That was like the biggest miss of all. Yeah. The Celtics got Kristaps Porzingis for almost nothing.
They facilitated Boston. They facilitated Boston trading Smart for a better player in Porzingis than 2 first rounders.
Like imagine if Memphis was a team that swooped in and they got Porzingis on
Porzingis with Jaren. Could you imagine Porzingis with Jaren and John Morant?
Those are the type of moves that happen that you look at in hindsight, and that's what was a detriment to the team.
They have some hits though. Like I feel like they've been pretty good at developing players. Yeah, Jalen Wells.
It's been a minute. I'll be honest.
He's hurt, of course.
Yeah, I mean, last year it's different because we saw some of these guys like Gigi Jackson break out, but then once everyone gets back, he can't really find his way in the rotation. So it's difficult. But I feel like they have a track record, even going back to like Grit and Grind, where they've been able to develop some guys. But yeah, I mean, I think really the only thing that can really unlock this team is can John Morant become a consistent 3-point shooter? If he's a guy that can become like a 37% 3-point shooter, then you could start to really see this team become more than what they are, which is like a second-round max team. But even still, Ja hasn't really shown the ability to be that.
What if I told you John Morant's a 36% 3-point shooter in the playoffs, though? In the
I
playoffs,
think he's like a 40%.
No, it's dipped a little bit.
It's a small sample size.
It's a small sample, but in that sample, he's at 37%. So
Yeah, I mean,
know
John,
he
he's
hit
a playoff
1-3.
riser.
I know he only hit 1-3 versus the Warriors, but he always gets
The
better as a
200
scorer.
games show us he's like 29%.
We being
Yeah,
too
but-
fucking nice. When is Jaren Jackson gonna lock in, bro? Like, that's what we need to do.
I don't think he's ever going to become a great rebounder.
No,
I think
fuck
that's
all that.
done.
When is he going to lock in and be a better player? When is he going to show up for these key marquee matchups?
He has been a better
That's-
player.
This man, and I blame both of them. I blame Ja and Jaren because when Ja was struggling, Jaren was holding the fort down. Then when Ja started cooking up, Jaren was struggling. When are both of you guys are going to lock in and contribute at the same time? That's my question. And when we can get that is when
Sounds
this team
like
can
Paulo
reach
France.
their sure. If we can get that, we can reach their full potential. That's when that's gonna happen.
I would argue the time when they've been clicking both at the same time was Ja's rookie season and Jaren's second season. And since that point, they haven't both
We're going
played
on
a high
5 years
level
on this
together.
That was a minute ago.
So
Cause like Jaren now you've hit a different offensive peak. Now Ja, you're starting to get your groove back. So now that you're getting your groove back, Desmond Bane's starting to heat up. Okay. So now you have a situation where if you can build off what you have right now, where, all right, Ja, we see a little bit of you starting to open up your game. Jaren, we see you open up your game. Desmond, we see you starting to be more consistent. Let's build quality, good players around you. Then it's a team where, yeah, they're not going to win a championship, but be a consistent, competitive team in the West. That's what you want in Memphis. So
It's either going to be the Mavericks or the Grizzlies
either one getting
playing
swept.
OKC.
Yeah, that's a 4-game series.
That's
probably.
the first round series in the West. I think OKC should win in 4. It really doesn't matter who it's going to go up against. I do feel bad about Dallas not realizing their full potential. I feel like if Kyrie Irving was healthy,
That would be a real series.
this team would be really freaking good.
That would be if Kyrie was healthy, this would be a real series. If you have the bigs healthy too. OKC, that's why I wanted Golden State to lose to see a Golden State OKC series. But shit, if Golden State wins round 1 against Houston, they could still see OKC round 2.
It's a
Nah.
death sentence. No, they play the
play
Lakers,
Lakers.
Wolves
Oh,
round 2.
I'm forgetting they don't reseed.
Yeah, it would. So OKC in 4 and 5, I think there's not really much to say about this series outside of OKC. It's
They
just
should.
overwhelmingly better.
OKC should win in 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, 5 games max.
Yeah,
I'd be
5
surprised
games
if it goes
max
past
for
that.
sure.
OKC had a great season. I mean, they almost won 70 games, but I would say that Dallas gets a game. And even if Memphis does win, which I don't expect, they do get a game to me. I think you'll get
Let's
a
say
couple.
4 or 5.
There's
I would
always
go
one
with
of
the
those anomalies.
respectable Gentleman's
It's like the Heat last year
because
hitting
50% from
23
3.
This Maverick team is playing well, and their rim protection is arguably the best in the entire playoff bracket right now. So that's something that really could be a stranglehold for a young Oklahoma State team that lets you get to the rim. You've got Anthony Davis, who in the playoffs has been a playoff riser too. I think we tend to forget just how special he's been defensively. And watching him versus the Kings too, it felt like he can be the best player on the floor in any given matchup. And even watching him battle with Jokic too, I mean, he can go bar to bar with I think any star in the game. So if Dallas gets there, give me Oklahoma City in 5.
Let's go on to the next round, or the next series, not the round. Rockets 2nd seed versus Warriors 7th seed. This is going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a defensive battle. Houston has held Golden State to some low-scoring output games. I'm very comfortable in Warriors in 6. I think the athleticism of the Rockets is going to be very tough, but the Rockets are at a disadvantage with who they initiate their offense through on the perimeter. I think Jalen Green over his last 10 games has averaged 14 points against the Warriors. He's had one good, efficient game against them this season. Really hasn't been all that good. And Jalen Green is prone to inefficient nights, bad decision-making. And I think the Warriors have a plethora of defenders to throw at him. We've seen Moses Moody and AirPods really step up defensively as of late. And if you really can, you want to, you could put Jimmy Butler on the perimeter. So I feel like Jalen Green, I don't trust him. Yeah, there's a chance that he explodes, but for me, I don't feel it. And Alperen Şengün this year against Draymond Green. Draymond Green has held them to 10 for 25 shooting, 40% from the field, 8 assists and 4 turnovers. If you play through Şengün and you are matched up on Draymond Green, I feel like that's an inefficient source of offense. And it's just the lack of shooting for Houston. They're one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league, and in terms of points per play, they're 22nd in half-court offense. So I just don't think they'll be able to generate enough offense to beat Golden State. And with Golden State, Steph Curry, every single possession down can give you a chance at a great offensive possession and a potential 4-on-3 opportunity. And that's where I feel like that's going to be the difference, the easy offense for Golden State, even with the toughness of the defense that the Rockets play with. I just think that it is very hard, even if you do have the individual defenders to defend Steph, it is very hard to navigate around all those screens and those switches. Eventually, there's going to be somebody that's a weaker defender that they're going to pick on within the offense. And then Jimmy Butler's been playing like playoff Jimmy. When Steph Curry's off the court, he's averaging 25 points per 75 possessions. So in those lineups, towards the end of the first quarter, when Steph Curry is sitting out with a breather, we see the Warriors usually make their biggest surge, their biggest runs with him on the floor, just dictating offense. So I love Golden State in this matchup. I think they got a favorable matchup. I think this is actually easier than playing the Lakers in the first round. So they kind of lucked out by playing in the play-in and now playing an inexperienced Houston team. So I'm going with the Warriors in 6. I feel very comfortable in this series.
Before y'all go, I want to know who Drew took here. Because you have his picks, you said?
Drew?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Drew said
because you guys made a bet when I was out, I heard.
Yes. So Drew is going with the Rockets in 6. And he went with OKC in 5, whoever it is.
Yeah, I figured. But yeah, now I heard the bet about your Rockets Warriors one, but then when I was talking to Drew, he's like, I might just take the Warriors, so I'm saved on either side. But I'm with you. I got the Warriors in this series. I do think that they lucked out. I shouldn't say lucked out, but they did the right thing being able to put away Memphis in that play-in, because if they would have lost and dropped to the 8 seed against OKC, I think that would have been a really good series, but I think OKC would have ended up winning that. But Houston was really the one team. It was them and Memphis earlier in the year, the last couple of months, that both of those are the two teams in the top 4 that I think some of these older teams like Golden State, for example, the Lakers for a part, where maybe they didn't have home court advantage, but they were looking at some of those young teams saying, if we have to play somebody, we want it to be them. And I think that's how Golden State feels going up against this Houston Rockets team. Jimmy Butler has been fantastic. You look at the numbers when Jimmy Butler has been in the starting lineup with all of his guys, with Steph and Draymond. This has been one of the best teams in basketball. When it's been those 3 out there, the only teams who have a better overall record since the Jimmy Butler trade have been the Thunder and the Boston Celtics. This has been one of the most elite teams in basketball. They are top 10 offensive rating, top 10 defensive rating, top 10 in net rating. This has been a team that has shown for multiple months now that if we're healthy and on the court together, we're up there with the elites of the NBA. And I think Houston's had a great regular season, but I think that's what they've been this season, is a great regular season team, because when I look at this matchup, I think the offense is going to be extremely questionable. I think it's going to be a slugfest, like you mentioned. I do think it's going to be more defensive matchup, but you're banking on really 2 guys to initiate a lot of your offense. It's going to be Jalen Green. It's going to be Şengün, right? And when you look at Şengün's matchups against Draymond Green, it hasn't been pretty. Of course, Draymond's one of the best defenders in basketball, and Şengün can make things happen without putting the ball in the basket. But the other guy you're banking on is Jalen Green. And Jalen Green is one of the most volatile players in the NBA. And game to game, you just don't really know what you're going to get from him. He has months. Drew loves to talk about these March and April runs that Jalen Green has, where he's an efficient shooter and he's averaging 25 a game.
30.
But this is a really, really good Golden State Warriors defense, right? They have multiple guys I think you could throw at Jalen Green, especially when they go small. It's going to be a bit tougher to switch. Obviously, he's going to try to get Steph on him and work there, but you have so many different guys, so many smart defenders in Draymond, Jimmy Butler, that it's just going to be really, really difficult for them to be able to, for Jalen Green to be able to get his offense going. And if this team is going to struggle that much offensively, they're going to need a lot to go right defensively. And as great of a team they've been defensively, I think you're putting too much burden on that side of the ball to be able to overcome what Golden State has. And that's just a bit of overwhelming amount of talent compared to what Houston has right now. I think Ime is going to put together a great game plan, because Ime always does. But shit, I saw a couple years ago, Ime against Golden State in the finals. Steph, give me a screen. Oh, you're dropping Al Horford? I'm going to hit a 3 for 6 damn games, and nothing's going to stop. So I do worry a little bit about, is he going to be able to adjust if that ends up happening? I'm sure he's learned since then, but I think Golden State takes this series in 6.
I'd argue this is probably the toughest defensive matchup for Golden State, specifically for Steph, because you have a 6'7" demon over there that's probably going to guard you for the most part. Athleticism is off the charts, speed is off the chart, recovery speed is off the charts, and that's Amen. Almost probably going to be guarding you the whole series, so that's going to be tough for Steph. And if you can make things tough for Steph, then you can make Golden State vulnerable in any type of matchup. So I think Houston defensively is going to cause a lot of problems. You have Amen, you have Dylan Brooks, You have Tari Eason. Jabari Smith is a solid defender. Even Fred VanVleet is a little bit annoying on the defensive side. The only probably mismatch you would like is Jalen Green Sengun at the rim for the Golden State. But at the same time, this is a matchup that, people aren't talking about it, but all the cards are on the table for Golden State. Like, this is all hands on deck. You have the most pressure. You can't go into this because people are picking them as the favorites. You guys are the veterans. You have Steph, you have Jimmy, you have Dre. All eyes are on you to kind of win this. You're kind of walking in like you have everything against you. And I think in this series, like you mentioned, I think when you watch these teams play, it's a slugfest. And I think what Houston loves is slugfest because that fits more their style. But in the fourth quarter, late in games, you want to trust Steph Curry. You want to trust Jimmy Butler. You want to trust Draymond Green. What I've noticed from this team is the Stephless minutes where Jimmy Butler's able to create opportunities for pods, create opportunities for Quentin Post, create opportunities for other guys. And like you mentioned, the defenders and Moses Moody, who's been really, really locked in lately. You got Jimmy, who's always locked in, specifically as a team defender. He's elite at that. Then Draymond Green, of course, being able to be a help side rim protector and switching off to Kawhi mid-game. That's some versatility you don't get a lot. And then guys like GP, which me and John were like laughing about it a little bit, but GP has been getting beat lately, beat a lot lately. So I hope he locks in lately. But I think for Houston, it's offensively, how do they, what's their under 5 minute go-to move? You saw with Steph, Draymond, Jimmy, you saw their go-to fourth quarter moves. You saw their go-to fourth quarter plays. It's Steph sets the screen, Jimmy comes off. You see Draymond set the off ball, Steph bang three. For Houston in the playoffs, what's their go-to move? I think the series is going to be really close. I think it's going to be a tough series. But when you get late into those games, what is Houston's go-to punch? What is Houston's go-to move? Who are they going to go to? With Golden State, you have Steph, you have Jimmy. You can go to two guys that are built for this moment. With Houston, it's kind of figuring out what that is for them. And I do think they're going to cause a lot of problems defensively. But what I worry about is schematically, what they're going to run offensively. Because Golden State, like you mentioned, is also an elite defense that you can't just walk over. You can't just score against. So for me, I got Golden State in 6 or 7 games. I think Golden State obviously has experience. They have the two of the best players in the series by far. But I think also they have the role players that are kind of equipped to win this series. I also would love to see Jonathan play in this type of specific series. I think
makes sense.
This is the series for him to play in.
They need better rebounding.
They need rebounding. They need athleticism. They need chaos. You don't need to. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but you don't need to think too much in this series. This is a bunch of athletic guys that's going to be on the court. You're not playing experienced guys. Where I think even an experienced coach, Ime's a great coach, but he's not too experienced in that department. Where Jonathan Kuminga, I think he needs serious run in this series. But I got Golden State in this one. I think it's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be an energetic one. I think the rivalry is going to be fun and exciting. It's going to be interesting to see out of Dillon Brooks and Draymond who ends the series. One of them could get ejected.
Over under 1.5 attacks.
For sure, easily. No doubt in my mind. But I'm definitely excited to see this series. But I got Golden State in 6.
The Rockets have a chance to win the series. And we talk a lot about the Warriors picking and choosing what matchup that they wanted. And maybe this is perfect for them. They get the team that's least experienced and not been in the playoffs before. But on the Rockets side of things, this is a Warriors team that's very vulnerable in the ways that the Rockets just won 52 games this year. And all season long, I've been tentative on Houston because Jalen Green is their main option in the playoffs was something that I wasn't too sure about. But when you look at what this Rocket team does so well, they're the best rebounding team in the NBA. You not only have Steven Adams for 10, 15 minutes, who's the best offensive rebounder in the NBA, and Alperen Sengun, but then Amon Thompson and Jabari Smith and Tari Eason. I think all these players are going to put a lot of pressure on, like you highlighted, Steph and AirPods to rebound very well from the perimeter. And I think the next thing for Houston is creating chaos. And that's where the Warriors are the team and the player that's going to change the series the most to me is Jimmy Butler. Because the Warriors notoriously are a team that's high turnover. They give up the ball a lot. But with Jimmy coming in, they've been a better, more cohesive team at taking care of the ball. And I think that is why I'm going to have the Warriors winning the series, because what the Rockets want is the Warriors to run the ball and make this an open, fast-paced game in transition where they're getting out and they're taking away from the half court. And that's where they remind me a lot of the 2022 Grizzlies. At their first year in the playoffs, won 56 games. They beat the T-Wolves and they played the Warriors in round 2. And I think this Rocket team is the most similar example where they have all the physical advantages in most matchups. And I'm excited to see Amon on Steph because I think that's a perfect matchup. You've got Dillon Brooks on Jimmy Butler, but I think it comes back to, number one, Jimmy Butler on the offensive end, simplifying the game, and then 2, Draymond defending Alperen Şengün. And if the Rockets really want to win the series, we know what they need. It's a good, consistent 4 to 5 games from Jalen Green. But coinciding with that, they need to really involve Amen Thompson in primary actions, because I'm afraid if they don't involve him enough, the Warriors are going to pick and choose to leave him open off the ball. And now, while the Warriors are getting 4 on 3s on offense, on the other end, now the Rockets are having 1 or 2 guys left open. If they're not hitting shots, that's where the series can end 5. But I'm going to have the Warriors in 6. I think it'll be a super competitive 6 games. And if all the first round matchups, this is going to be the most physical. I think it's going to be one of the most exciting. And I think it's going to be one of the fastest paced.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, just going back to Riv's point, what Ime does in late game situations, if it is close, what he does with Jalen Green. Because we've seen Jalen Green in this regular season. We've seen multiple moments where Ime's sitting him and he's having him on the bench, right? And you look at the regular season, you're like, okay, is this Ime trying to get different looks? Is this Ime, Jalen Green's having a bad game, I don't trust him with the ball in his hands? Or is this Ime saying, no, like when the playoffs come around, I don't know if I could trust Jalen Green. I don't know if I want him out there on the court because I have other guys that make better decisions or have better shot selection. Because I feel like the way the Rockets win this series is if Jalen Green's playing at a high level, but especially in those fourth quarters, right? He's not going to be able to go bar to bar, necessarily with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, but I think it's going to be really difficult to close out games and close out this series if Jalen Green's on the bench and you're running a lot of offense through guys that either have bad matchups in a guy like Şengün or other guys who, like Fred VanVleet and Amen Thompson, who like at this point in both their careers, one being young, one being older, it's like, are they really going to be the guy that, being the initiator of the offense and be able to break down this Warriors defense, consistently get good looks? And, I think really the only real reliable shooter you've had this year has been Dillon Brooks for a majority of the season. So it's going to be a tough look. I think Jalen Green's really going to have to come to play. I know he's the X factor for a lot of people in this series, but especially in the clutch, especially in those last, 4 or 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, the rebounding is huge because you watched in that Clippers game, even in the Memphis game, Warriors struggle with rebounding, especially on the defensive side. I'm very big on, you finish up a defensive play by grabbing that rebound, and if you don't, it's not a complete defensive play. And you saw a lot with Edey, with Zubac. They didn't clean up the glass like they wanted to. And a team like Houston, they don't have that one singular presence that can get a ton of offensive rebound. But it's like 3 to 4 athletic demons that can just kill the glass. And like you mentioned, Steph and Pods are going to get a lot of run, and those are small guards where Houston plays Amen, Tyrese, and Jabari Smith. Like, they're going to be a big physical team. So I'm excited to see that.
Pods are their best positional rebounder. So, he's going to have to average 7 at least. And I think one more interesting tidbit on this game is the Rockets' record this year, and Jalen Green scores 30 or more points. What do you guys think it is?
It's a high record.
Undefeated.
Almost. They're 13-1.
I believe 8-1.
The one game they lost?
Warriors?
Denver. Without Jokic.
Oh, really?
Okay.
That's a weird game. Okay.
Yep.
The size advantage that the Rockets have is big.
No, without Jokic part, I thought if I wanted to say it, I was like, I should say it.
The rebounding advantage they have is huge. Steven Adams, when he's on the court, they have the highest offensive rebound percentage of all time.
Number 36, Steven Adams averaging 7 offensive rebounds.
He's just so fucking strong in his position.
The thing about that, though, is that they can't play him too much because then you're going with double big lineups. You're vulnerable to drop coverage, and you're vulnerable to let a lot of threes fly. So I think they have to be very meticulous with how many times they're having Steven Adams out there in those lineups, in those double big lineups. You mentioned the clutch time offense. It's just the difference between Golden State and Houston is, let's say in the last 5 minutes, you have 9 possessions. Golden State's 9 possessions are all running through Steph, Butler, or Draymond making a decision. With Houston, it's a Fred VanVleet drive. It's a Jalen Green shot. It's Amen Thompson, or it's Şengün post up. Yeah. It's just too much variance to where if they're playing perfect team basketball and they're collapsing the defense constantly and generating a ton of open looks, then they can suffice. But overall, they don't have any go-to scorer in isolation that's efficient in isolation. So that's why there's always that caveat with the Rockets. Yeah, they could win if Jalen Green turns into Devin Booker.
That's a dangerous game to play.
There's more X factors too, like what version of Dillon Brooks are we getting? Because there's a very wide scale of the Lakers not guarding him. He can't hit a wide open 3.
They're not going to guard him.
Versus Utah,
they're going to definitely make him. They're going to be like, yo, bro,
he's going to have to prove it.
And Jabari Smith too, because Jabari Smith seems, I'm not going to say theoretical 3-point shooter, but his shot making over the years has left a lot to be
desired. They're going to leave Amen, Şengün, Brooks,
and Amen. Amon.
Who are they? Are they guarding anybody?
Tyrese. They're going to leave him open from 3. Like, yo, show us.
Amon and Dillon.
But Steven Adams, but he's going to be in the paint, you know?
They'll be able to shrink the floor. I got the Warriors. Now, this next series, the Lakers and the Timberwolves, I don't know.
5 games?
This is tough. I think that's disrespectful to the Timberwolves.
Really?
They beat Minnesota last year in 5. Dallas. That is.
I think.
I don't know.
I think there's a better chance that the Lakers win in 5 than Timberwolves win the series at all.
I don't think.
Yo, bro, I think the Lakers might smoke them.
No, I disagree. I don't think,
crazy.
number one, the Mavericks team last year to make the finals was awesome overall. And I don't think the Lakers have that type of depth on their team currently. I
Or
think
rim
that's the
protection.
biggest difference.
That's the difference.
They'll have the offense, though.
I think Minnesota is kind of
defense
getting a little
will
bit slept
separate.
on. This has been the toughest series for me to predict because the Lakers don't have an answer for Anthony Edwards. And I know on the other side,
They don't
have an answer for Luka.
Luka.
I understand. They definitely have an answer for Reeves. You was about to name Reeves. I know you was about to name Reeves.
Well, I
They
mean,
have an
if
answer
he's
for
the
Reeves.
third guy, who are you going to put on him?
Nikhil,
Anthony Edwards.
Jalen Clark.
Who?
Anthony Edwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
On Reeves.
Yeah, I'm
Nikhil,
fine with that. I'm fine with that. Like,
I'm just looking at all the data points for Minnesota are pretty phenomenal. And for one, they started the season 8-10. Everybody thought the sky was falling. Then since then, they went 41-23, the 5th best record in the NBA.
Yep.
And in that span, they were top 6 in offensive rating, defensive rating, and net rating. Their best offense and the best offensive rating lineup in the NBA has been Dante DiVincenzo, Edwards, Alexander Walker, Randall, and Naz Reid. I think the Timberwolves have a size advantage in this series by having Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle and Naz Reid, and the Lakers not having any viable center option outside of Jackson Hayes. That's a real advantage for the Timberwolves. They probably will win the rebounding battle. This is also a better three-point shooting team. On the season, they have been one of the best three-point shooting teams in the NBA. They generate a lot of threes as well. They hit them at a high clip, and they have a ton of lineup versatility. If the Gobert lineup isn't working, let's go Naz Reid, let's go 5 out, let's go Julius Randle, dictating offense and generating more catch and shoot opportunities for our players. I think the Timberwolves have a lot of answers, not only to attack the Lakers offensively, but defensively. Yes, Jaden McDaniels cannot guard Luka. I don't think anybody can guard Luka.
Not anybody.
He's just missing. And you know what's funny? That the Al Horford and Rudy Gobert comparison is interesting to me because Luka generated a lot of open shots against Al Horford in the finals, but he shot 23% against them. He just didn't make his shots.
What about this regular season game? Did he just miss too?
Yeah, I think so. Like, Gobert,
if he just misses against
I mean,
Boston,
if you're taking a step back on a big,
when you look at the contest that Gobert had against Luka, I mean, you can't ask for anything better. Like, they were great contests.
But I asked you, Joel,
just made shots.
When Luka was playing against Al Horford, would you not argue or would you not agree that a lot of the shots he were taking against Al Horford were tough, bad shots?
I feel like Al Horford
Same thing with Gobert.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if Al Horford is forcing him into a bad shot, that's a good job on Al Horford.
I know, but
like, he's taking step back threes on a 6'10"
that's the point
slow
I'm trying to make about Gobert is that I think Gobert, those shots you kind of live with. It's just
sure.
Luka's.
It just seems like he makes them.
He's gonna hit them against almost anybody. So that's where you don't really have an answer against that. But Jaden McDaniels, Alexander Walker, Jalen Clark,
too small.
Anthony Edwards, Dante DiVincenzo. I think they have a ton of defenders on the perimeter that you can switch up and vary the matchups. Maybe Jalen Clark or Alexander Walker are guarding Luka, and you have Jaden on LeBron, or you have Jaden on Austin Reeves. Like, you probably move the pieces on the chessboard a little bit to just try to dictate matchups and live with certain things, you know? So I'm interested to see what Minnesota is willing to live with. Are we going to have our best defender on Luka that we know is a non-factor, or do we have our best defender on Reeves and take him out, and then we kind of hone in on Luka with just letting him go one-on-one and just staying home on shooters? So I think another thing that the Lakers don't have in this series that Luka had in that series in the conference finals was a premier lob threat that can play for 48 minutes. Jackson Hayes at most is playing 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes.
And Vano's not a lob threat.
Yeah, the Mavericks had Gafford and they had Derek Lively. You know, when you're in the pick and roll and Luka's putting his defender in jail on his back and he's forcing Gobert to make a decision to step up on the floater or contest the lob, that's something you don't have to worry about in these non-Jackson Hayes minutes lineup. So I think that's another thing that the Lakers don't have that Mavericks team did have. I think this is going to be a 7-game series. I have the Lakers in 7 because of the clutch time offense. I think Minnesota is amazing, but the Lakers have 3 players who can create nice, great looks in the clutch. Yeah. And I think that's the difference in this series. But when you go top to bottom and all the things that these teams do well, Minnesota does a lot of them at the same level, if not a higher level. I just think the high leverage moments is when this series is going to be decided.
Does this series pull at heartstrings for you a little bit?
It does, because I think Minnesota, if they win, I would not be shocked. I think they have a legitimate chance.
I got the Lakers. I didn't think too much about this series. Minnesota is a tough team, but I just think of Minnesota and I look at the Lakers matchups and I think Minnesota is just too small, specifically with guarding LeBron, with guarding Luka. Yeah. You know, I think you have guys like Jaden, you have guys like Ant, you have guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They're just too small for those type of guys like LeBron and Luka. They're just not they're not big enough physically to guard those two guys. And like you mentioned, LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, they're going to be able to generate an efficient offense, especially in the pick and roll where you're going to probably switch most of your thing. And then Julius Randle, like, what are you getting out of him? You know, theoretically, this is probably a matchup he should kill in.
What are we getting out of him?
Exactly. You have no idea. And
I have a good feeling about Randle.
You can have a good feeling.
It could only go up. It can't go down. If it went down, he would not.
That's the thing. It literally could go down. Like, you literally don't know.
Do you know that
unplayable if it goes down?
Do you know that this has been obviously this has been Randle's first season. Him and Anthony Edwards have more games where they've both had 30-point games than Edwards had with Cat. Like, I think this fit with Edwards might be a bit better offensively just because Randle can take pressure off of him in making decisions. He generates so many open 3-point shots.
That's what Randle does best.
And Julius Randle's a good player. I just look at, like, the Lakers defense is definitely something I'm skeptic about. You know, you have Jackson Hayes at the 5. You have a lot of cool wing defenders, but it's not a defense that puts fear in anybody's heart, I feel like. But offensively, I mean, like you mentioned, Minnesota in the clutch is just not good. You know, they just don't generate a good quality offense in the clutch. It's a lot of bad shots, a lot of, you know, bad attempts, a lot of just miscommunication, a lot of not understanding, you know, spacing and not understanding, you know, how much time you have on the shot clock and just generating a good shot. With the Lakers, you have 2 of the best guys to do that in LeBron and Luka. And then you have Austin Reeves, who's playing at a high level. I just trust this offense way more with the Lakers, and I don't think Minnesota can guard this offense at all. You know, I don't, like, Jalen Clark is a guy who's a good defender. How much minutes is he going to get in the series? You know, how deep are they going to go into their rotation? Are they going to be able to take advantage of Julius Randle? Like you mentioned, Rudy Gobert and stuff like that. Nas Reed, I think he's a really good defender. I think he'll probably be a guy that's going to get a lot of minutes at the 5 this series. But in terms of Jaden McDaniels, this is a guy who struggled last year against Luka in the playoffs. A guy who struggled, struggled immensely. And this is he hasn't gotten bigger. Luka hasn't gotten smaller. So and then you have
Luka might get bigger.
You know what I'm saying? And then LeBron.
That was a subliminal
that was nuts.
He's a big guy.
That's
and then you got LeBron James. Like LeBron James is also still a big
dude. But McDaniels has guarded LeBron very well.
Well, he's gonna have to guard Luka. They're not putting anybody else on Luka.
I think I would put McDaniels on LeBron.
Who's guarding Luka?
I would put.
What?
It's gonna have
you can't put it on.
I would put somebody else. I don't know. I don't know.
Mike Conley?
When you start off the game, I think you have to have McDaniels. You have to. When you have different lineups,
you can't put
Alexander Walker. I would like better.
You can't put Ant on any of those 2 guys. You need all his energy exerted for that offense.
He could, but I think you could also see Anthony Edwards just be like, "I'm taking Reeves out this series."
Oh, Reeves! I was talking about LeBron and Luka.
I know.
Yeah, I'm talking about LeBron and Luka.
If Anthony Edwards steps up in that way, and then they just kind of focus on LeBron and Luka, those other defenders, I think they match up well. Like, this series could be a series where Mike Conley just doesn't play all that much. After game 1, we probably realized,
replace him with a bigger defender.
And then you replace him with Jalen Clark in the lineup.
Dante.
It's really all dependent on the mismatch because you have guys like Dante, too small. You know, Luka and LeBron.
Still 6'5".
He's 6'4". Luka and LeBron, you know, bigger guys like they can take advantage of him, take advantage of Rudy. You did that to me.
Alexander Walker 6'5".
6'5", too small, too skinny.
Luka's 6'6".
Luka's 6'7".
He's 6'6".
He's 6'7".
I promise you he's 6'6".
Stop.
Search it up. I promise you.
We can search it up, but we have eyes.
He plays like he's 6'8".
Dude, he's taller. He's taller than Jalen Brown.
All I'm saying is that
like 6'7".
I thought
Jay McDaniel's
Luka.
like 6'10". He, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I
Don't
know.
really
I thought Luka was 6'7", 6'8", but then I looked at it. I'm like,
played
he's
those
6'6".
numbers.
Okay, Joel,
Yeah.
you know they lie on Google. Like you know
But it's
that.
on
not always
NBA.com.
accurate.
It's
You know
on ESPN.
NBA.com is what's KD height on NBA.com?
Every
Tell me right now.
source.
6'10".
Every
Come on.
source has Luka listed as that.
What's KD height on NBA.com?
He probably is like 6'9".
That's cat as fuck. KD hasn't been 6'9"
He's 6'11"
since he
on
was like
Basketball
17.
Reference.
Okay,
That's
how tall
that's
is
better.
Luka?
Yeah,
Basketball
that's
Reference makes
decent.
more
KD?
sense.
How tall is Luka on Basketball Reference?
6'6".
6'6".
And
Yeah,
they're- yeah.
it didn't
I
feel
don't
like
really
it.
care what Luka's height is. They're all too small. We
They
saw
are
last
too
year. They're
small.
too
But
small.
I'm just saying, it's like they're similar heights. I just think the situational offense is where I sour on Minnesota.
Yeah.
But I think this series, for the majority of it, we could be like, okay, Minnesota looks like they're getting the better of them.
Yeah.
And in the conference finals that ended in 5 games, game 1, 3-point game.
Yep.
Ant and Cat didn't play well. Game 2, 1-point game. Ant and Cat didn't play well. So that series was a 5-game series, but the first 2 games of that series were very close and could have went either way. It was just situational basketball. And I think if the series does end in 5, it is probably going to be very close game up to the end, and Minnesota just doesn't perform in the clutch. But I think that they are going to push the Lakers. I think they have so much better athletes out there on the floor, and the Lakers defense is pretty vulnerable. I know they had a stretch where they looked amazing on defense, but their defense is so hell-bent on scrambling and doing things perfectly, and one false rotation leads to open shots, and I just don't think that they have the athletes to keep up with Anthony Edwards on the perimeter, and I think the size of Minnesota is going to bother them, especially in the front court.
Yeah, Minnesota is not your typical 6 seed. They're one of only a few teams this year to be top 10 offensive rating, top 10 defensive rating, and top 5 in net rating. Now I'm going with the Lakers in this matchup in 7 games, the same as you, because I trust them situationally late in games a lot more, because my question is how they're able to contain LeBron and Luka together. I look at the offense of the Lakers, and I do believe that Minnesota can match up with LeBron if they put Jaden McDaniels on him. I think they can contain Austin Reeves to an extent, but they don't have someone who can guard Luka Doncic. And I think when you look at that comparatively to the Timberwolves, I'm pretty confident LeBron can contain Julius Randle. Will he have a better series than what he was providing with the Knicks? For sure, because he seemed to really grow into more of this secondary role as a decision maker that is spraying out looks to open like 3-point shooters. That Minnesota has a lot of them. But it comes back to, am I going to lean on LeBron as a connector to Luka Doncic, or Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle? And when I look at that late in the game, in those fourth quarters, I can't go against this Lakers team that last year had the engineer of that team was Luka, who basically completely ripped apart Jaden McDaniels in that defense. And I feel like physically it's a lot like Mikal Bridges in Phoenix, where guys that have the length and the size but don't have the power are not going to be able to contain Luka. And I feel like for Minnesota, you can have Ant guard Luka in stretches, but not for half a game. And that's going to be really the biggest question to me, how they're able to neutralize those two guys. And I don't think that they quite can. The other thing, too, is that I think J.J. Redick's the better coach in this matchup. And I look at the Lakers' role players. I think the other thing they're going to do, which is going to give Minnesota troubles, and this is where it comes down to more of a matchup-dependent series for me than who's the better team. What they're going to do is play a lot of DFS and Gabe Vincent, have 5 shooters on the floor, and force Rudy Gobert to make a decision. You're either going to try to neutralize these drives, or you're going to have to be constantly in scramble drills, rotating to the corner. And I think that's going to take away the pain of what Rudy has done so well.
That's how the Clippers beat Utah.
And that's exactly what the Mavericks did last year, and that's how they won 5 games as well. So I think that's going to be a big question, because DFS has been really good for the Lakers, been shooting well. I think they have enough shooters in their starting lineup. And I think Gabe Vincent can have a good series as well. I'm seeing Drew's chairs and that since praises a little bit. He's been playing better in the second half of Luka. So there's definitely a chemistry and a simplification of your role, and you're playing with him. And I think it alleviates the pressure off of all of those roles.
Yeah, I think for me, there's just too many questions about Minnesota. I like the stat, Joel. Right after those 18 games, they've been one of the best teams in basketball. I feel like you can, segment season. You could segment the season a lot of different ways to make that argument for a lot of different teams. But when I look at Minnesota, I know I'm getting from Ant. I feel very confident. Ant has shown last year that he is a playoff riser. He is someone that, when it comes down to it, he could be the best player in the series, right? He went toe-to-toe with KD and outplayed him. So I got really no questions about Anthony Edwards. It's just the rest of this Minnesota team, I still question, right? Like, what does Julius Randle look like in a playoff setting? I know he's looked great over these last few months, right? Especially since he's come back from injury. He even had those comments, remember, I talked about, like, when I was on the bench, I was able to see where I fit in this offense as opposed to when I was playing every day. And I was just trying to get my buckets and just trying to get to it. So I think his role has changed a bit. And he's He's accepted that role, and overall they become a better team because of it. But what does it look like in the playoffs? What does it look like when JJ Redick has a few days, a week to be able to game plan against this Minnesota team and be able to pick out their weaknesses, Julius Randle being included there. Some of the other guys on that team, like Jaden McDaniels, has had some moments this season, has had some stretches where he's been great. But what's he going to look like in this playoff series with the more expanded role offensively that we've seen this season? And then Rudy Gobert I go back and forth with, because this is a series that, even though Rudy, like you mentioned, Joel, gets a bad rep sometimes, especially going against some other small ball lineups, he's still one of the best defenders in basketball. He's one of the best rim protectors in basketball. And when Jackson Hayes is out there, I think he's going to be fantastic, right? He's going to have the opportunity to be out there and match those minutes with Jackson Hayes and be able to dominate on the boards and be able to get some lobs and finish around the rim. But when the Lakers do go small, like they've done basically the entire time or majority of the time that Luka's been there, when they're playing, 5 out, what is Rudy Gobert's role in this situation and in this series? Because on one hand, you want to have him out there when you're going up against LeBron and Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, guys that can get to the paint. You want him to be able to protect the rim compared to a guy, like Naz Reid, for an example. But you're also taking away from some of his strengths when the Lakers are putting 5 shooters out there, right? Yeah. And you have guys in the corners, like you guys already mentioned. We saw that a lot last year in the Dallas and Timberwolves series, which is why it ended so quickly. But really, I think the Lakers have shown us this year, and not even them playing at their best version of basketball, that when they're on and they're healthy, they've proven to be one of the best teams, right? When they've had Luka Doncic, who hasn't, I don't even think, played his best basketball, right? He's had games here and there where it's like, oh, Luka just put up 25, 7 and 5 at halftime. Yeah. He's back, and then he has those moments where he hasn't played up to his standards. But I think getting a few days off is going to be huge for him. Yeah. LeBron James as well, right? He re-aggravated his groin in the last few games of the season, so I'm assuming he's going to be healthy, but I don't know if he's going to be like completely 100%. Getting these few days off, I think, really favors this Lakers team that's a bit older, and especially some guys that have dealt with injuries like Luka and LeBron James. There's some areas that I think the Timberwolves can take advantage of the Lakers, but overall, I just have more questions about what am I going to get the Wolves game in and game out. I got the Lakers winning this in 6. Like I said, I'd be more surprised Timberwolves won this series compared to the Lakers just took this home in 5, because they got so many guys that go out there and just beat you one-on-one. Like, on paper, Wolves got good defenders, right? Like, if you're just going on paper, Ant-Man, Nikhil, Jaden McDaniels, your guy Clark, Rudy Gobert, they got so many guys that can guard, but it depends on the matchup, right? When you're going up against these dudes who are 6'6" to 6'8", and guys like LeBron James and Luka Doncic, those aren't the type of defenders that are going to thrive against LeBron James and Luka, because they're too big and they're too strong. We saw that last season. So look at the other end, the Timberwolves, or excuse me, the Lakers. I think they're going to struggle guard Minnesota in some aspects, right? I don't think they got a guy that can guard Anthony Edwards, but then I look at the rest of the team, I'm like, all right, Anthony Edwards, go crazy. Now what? Like, if Julius Randle goes out there and averages 25, you tip your cap, because Julius Randle has not shown to be able to do that in the playoffs. If Jaden McDaniels goes out there and shoots 40% from 3 from the series, you tip your cap and you're cool with that. And they have other guys maybe you're more reliable on, like a Naz Reid, for an example. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think the Lakers are the better team. They're the 2 best players in the series. I agree with you. I think they got the better head coach. They got home court advantage. Got the Lakers.
Oh, Lakers in 5, man.
Drew also has the Lakers in 5.
As straightforward as it sounds, I cannot envision Anthony Edwards outdoing Luka and LeBron, because you think about what Luka's went through. You think about what Luka's experienced the last 4 months. Not only was he traded, but he was disrespected. His name was tarnished when he was traded from the Mavs unceremoniously. This is going to be the most disciplined and dedicated, and I think motivated version of Luka Doncic we'll ever see. I mean, the way that they treated him on his way out was pretty disgusting, to be quite honest with you guys. I know sometimes we joke about it as like fans, but like the Mavericks organization took it to a point where they basically bet on Luka, said, we're going to bet against you, both physically and as a leader. And I think that is something which, as an elite athlete, that's going to wire you in a certain way to where I cannot see him.
Some of those comments, the closed door interview Nico had with some of the... Did you see that?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, my God. So it actually came down from the owner. Did you see this?
Yes.
This came down from the Mavs owner, that he wanted Nico Harrison to have a sit down with some closed doors, media members, no phones allowed.
Okay.
Yeah, and Tim McMahon was one of those main guys there. I'm sure people have seen it, but yeah, I mean, it didn't sound good. Like, he did not say anything that made him sound like he knew what he was doing. I mean, just in short, like, Tim McMahon was basically like going at him for not the Luka trade, but also the Quentin Grimes trade. He's like, Quentin Grimes looked around the league as like a young player, someone that could be a key contributor on offense. Like, why'd you attach a pick to go get Caleb Martin? He's like, it's not about Quentin Grimes, it's about Caleb Martin. Like, well, everyone thinks Quentin Grimes is better and he's younger. He's like, well, we just think Caleb Martin and the Luka stuff. The Luka stuff. Tim McMahon had like this whole quote basically saying like, why would you trade Luka Doncic? He's generational, 25 years old. He said he'd sign a supermax. He goes on, and Nico's like, can you repeat that? Like, when you're in school and teacher asks you something, you don't know the answer. You're like, say that again. You try to think of something.
Same worst.
It was bad,
championships.
Man.
That's all he kept saying.
Yeah, it was bad. It was
obviously, it wasn't open to the media. I don't think Nico Harrison should ever be allowed to do media again. He straight up says, I don't really care what Dirk thinks or the fans. Taking a shot at Dirk. Like, imagine if the current Spurs GM, imagine if R.C. Buford was like,
Never.
I don't give a shit what fucking Tim Duncan
Never.
is. I could care less.
Tim Duncan's
It doesn't
also, I
matter
think,
to
a
me.
part of
Defense,
this.
and he starts repeating this 1990s trope about defense wins championships. That, to me, is something which, as an NBA GM, is not only unprofessional, I think it's something which, as an organization, you cannot let happen. Like, I thought like organizations have like PR departments dedicated to saying the right thing. And quite
Their
clearly,
PR department is
the
shot.
Mavericks PR department went through shambles. I mean, this is where they got to step up, and it's been a tough look for their camp to allow that to happen and get out to the press.
It's very possible that Nico Harrison is just an idiot, but I think this trade was so bad that it had to be an inside job.
No, idiot got it.
I mean, how do you trade Luka? It still doesn't make any sense because the Mavericks, we'd be talking about them contending for a championship right now if he was still there, especially with the ascension that Najee Marshall took, and if Kyrie Irving stayed healthy.
Najee
of
Marshall
course.
and Quentin Grimes, a PJ in the rim protection.
And Klay Thompson gonna play like this in the playoffs.
Playing
Yeah,
well
you know,
right
like
now.
we would look
Quentin
at them
Grimes
as a
is better
championship
than Derrick
contender.
Jones Jr. was last year.
Yeah,
They
Quentin
were
Grimes
literally a better team, possibly.
Yeah,
if
so
Kyrie's healthy.
they
They had
kind
a
of
team ready to repeat.
they robbed the fans of what was honestly a 2 to 3 year stretch of legitimately contending for a championship with the Kyrie Luka duo, and then obviously years after with Luka holding down the fort. So it's unfortunate, but Drew has Lakers in 5. Now we're going on to the next series. The Nuggets versus the Clippers. Drew has the Nuggets in 6. And this is one of those series where you're kind of wrestling with the fact that maybe one team might be better, but this other team has the best player in the world, in Nikola Jokic. Where do you stand on this, John? Are you going with the Nuggets? Are you going with the homer pick? Are you going with Jokic?
I'm going with Denver in this matchup. And I will say that the Clippers are the best team and one of the toughest matchups the Nuggets could face. And in this specific series, they are the better team. And we talked about a little bit earlier, Ivica Zubac is not only having a breakout year, most improved player candidate, but he's one of the few matchups in the NBA that can defend Jokic well enough one-on-one where the Clippers can leave them on islands and then put all of their eggs on limiting Jamal Murray, who for a second year in a row has had a hamstring issue in the regular season, which could potentially into the playoffs. And now you're going to have Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn running around for 48 minutes, giving him as much hell as possible. The way last year we saw Jaden McDaniels neutralize him. So I believe that Jamal Murray might struggle quite a bit in the series. What it comes down to for me is, number one, I think Nikola Jokic going to have to raise his level of play as a scorer, and we've seen that last year against Rudy Gobert, a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. He was getting to his spots with ease. And I think, quite honestly, it almost doesn't matter who you put on Jokic because he's going to continue to generate good open looks. The biggest X factor to me is going to be Christian Brown. I think what he's going to do on James Harden defensively is what gives the Nuggets, to me, a comfort level because it's going to be a matter of James Harden making enough 2-point shots inside the arc, and I believe that Christian Brown has the size, he has the length, and he has the aggressiveness to really contain him and put him in a box. Harden's going to have some blow-up games. He's going to have some games where he probably hits 7 threes, has 28 points and great efficiency with 7 assists. But I think in those off nights, they're going to see Jokic take control, and there's a level of comfort I have with the Nuggets game, whatever look they want with those 5 guys out there. But while the Brown and Westbrook matchup's a big variable in this series, I think what the Nuggets can't allow to happen is their bench has been bad this year. They need Russell Westbrook to be solid and serviceable off the bench. If Russ is coming and spelling Jokic and struggling, that is where my confidence quickly fades with this Nuggets group. If they get Russ and Jerome Strother to play fine, just serviceable, -4-point differential opposed to -8 without Jokic on the floor, I think the Nuggets win. But this is one of the closest series. This is the series I struggle with most because the Clippers are the better team. And when you look, from 1 to 7, it's very few matchups the Nuggets have over them. But I also think, too, you sleep on Aaron Gordon now, but he's going to be a very important player in this series.
I think with the Nuggets, the selling point is they have Jokic, and I think after that, a lot of the points become moot. I think that Christian Brown, yes, he will be a good defender on James Harden. He's an awesome defender. There's no doubt about it. But looking at how the Clippers run their offense. They're first in isolation points, first in isolation frequency. They're one of the most frequent pick and roll offenses as well with James Harden. I have more of a comfort level with the Clippers defense holding Denver's offense than Denver's defense holding the Clippers offense.
Right.
Because Christian Brown, one-on-one, sure, he can have great isolated possessions on James Harden. But what happens when 7-footer Zubac is setting a screen on him and knocking him down, and then James Harden is one-on-one with Jokic staring him down in the face and saying, I'm taking over right now. This is what I'm doing. He's going with Nuggets. What's going to happen when James Harden's in that pick and roll and Zubac starts to roll and Christian Brown is trailing and Harden throws that lob or he baits Jokic and hits that mid-range, and that's how Chris Paul averaged 26 and 10 against the Joker. What's going to happen? The Nuggets defense has been so bad this year, 22nd in defensive rating.
This game's already coming out party,
This is not the same Nuggets defense that went on a run and won the NBA championship. This is a vulnerable Denver defense that lacks point of attack defense, going up against one of the best pick and roll ball handlers in the history of the NBA. And then Kawhi Leonard, his isolation scoring, it doesn't matter if Aaron Gordon is on him. You could throw Herb Jones on him, Tumani Kamara.
Like
you could throw him Lou Dort. It doesn't matter. Kawhi Leonard's gonna average 30 in this series because he's just that good. And
he's averaging 30 and 10.
He's going to average 30 in this series. I think the Clippers are the better team. I think the Nuggets have the better player, but the Clippers are second in defensive rating. Zubac over the last 2 years has held Jokic to 35.6% from the field, and they have one of the best perimeter defenders in the league in Chris Dunn, who's going to be matched up on Jamal Murray.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Dunn, yeah, they should. They should.
I think they'll be more likely to guard Derrick Jones.
But they have two players. They have two players at all times that will always be able to guard Jamal and Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn in those lineups that they're in the game. And also,
the Joker will be guarding
Bogdan Bogdanovic off the bench, his shooting. You have Nicholas Batum off the bench too. I think the Clippers have a lot of lineup versatility. They don't really have a backup big, and that's going to be their Achilles heel. But Denver's bench, I'm not fearful of. I think the Clippers have a better defense. They have a better bench. Their play style is a hell matchup for the Nuggets defense and trying to guard them. It's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of rotations. And David Adelman has been undefeated as the Nuggets head coach. And he plays the best players depending on how they're playing. But when you look at Denver and the ability to leave so many players open offensively, whether it's Aaron Gordon, even though he's shooting a career high from three, but you're still going to test him out there. Christian Brown, Russell Westbrook when he's in the game. I just think that Denver doesn't have enough. And I've seen too many instances this year where Jokic has a 60-point triple-double and they still lose. He has a great game. He's had
$65 million in that game.
He's had a historic offensive season, and they still lose games to the Washington Wizards.
I really don't like when you use them losing as like a discredit to Jokic when they're second and third best players both.
I'm not saying it's a discredit to Jokic. I'm just saying it's a discredit to the team.
They're using that as a point when their second and third best players are making 35.
I'm using it as a point to discredit the team that I don't think is that good around Jokic.
The Wizards no matter what.
That's like the Celtics without Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis. It's not the same team if they're both out.
They're great without Jaylen Brown.
We beat the Hornets with nobody playing. That's kind of the same thing,
They beat the Blazers and Derek White and Cam Pritchard both went for 40.
That's that's the loss versus Minnesota. It's a 50-win team. It's not the Hornets who are a 3-win team.
No,
John,
about the Wizards more than that.
Johnny boy, I got the Clippers in 6. I think they are a better team. If you want to sell me on the fact, and I feel like whenever we talk about the Clippers, people pick Denver. Like I was talking to my friend Jack earlier, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going with Denver because Kawhi, I can't trust his health." If you're gonna give me one of those reasons, now I understand basketball reasons. Looking at how these two teams match up, the Clippers are just a better team, and they've been playing like the second best team in the West for a while.
They said that in 2022.
Yeah, I think the Clippers, especially their injury thing, is interesting because you say it all year long, and me included, like they're not going to be healthy, and it's April 17th, and the playoffs are 2 days away. And it's like, they're healthy. Like Kawhi's good, Harden's good, Zoo's good. All these dudes that you're relying on to be healthy are going to be playing. So like, yeah, the argument's, I can't trust Kawhi. Well, like, yeah, if Kawhi goes down in Game 3, they got no chance. The series is going to be over. If James Harden, pulls a hamstring in Game 2, yeah, it's going to be a really tough series. But I'm going into this expecting that everyone on both teams are going to be healthy, especially since Kawhi missed such a large portion of the start of the regular season. It's looking like maybe that was a blessing in disguise, the fact that they were able to, survive that. I think a couple things. Number one, I'm going to be interested to see how much Russell Westbrook plays, because one of the key reasons, I guess if you want to say
good
that,
Jalen Pickett minutes.
one of the key
Get
reasons
ready.
why Mike
Buckle up.
Malone got let go is because of how much he leaned on and trusted Russell Westbrook. This is a guy that was averaging 28 to 30 minutes a night, was getting some spot starts, but since Mike Malone got fired, he went from averaging 28 to 30 to now averaging around 20 minutes, right? He already has
No,
multiple
he fucks
games.
up. He gets out.
When he has multiple games under 20 minutes, since Mike Malone has gotten fired. So just one thing to take note of. But
a great
Denver,
point.
I think they got a couple things going against them. Number one, the vibes are off, man. I think the vibes are pretty terrible right now in Denver. Nikola Jokic, of course, I don't think he exactly agreed on firing Mike Malone, even though he didn't go out there and say one way or the other, like, I need Malone or I want him gone. I think he liked Mike Malone. I think overall, just to fire a coach that late into the season, a coach that won you the championship just 2 years ago, a coach that is respected around the league as probably one of the 10 best coaches. I think the vibes, number one, are just pretty off in Denver, and to go into this tough of a series with kind of some question marks, just not basketball related, I think are never a good sign. And number two, I don't think they have the better team in this series. I think the Clippers have shown, since Kawhi Leonard has been healthy, and really the last month and a half, 2 months since he's gotten his legs under him, is that this is a guy that looks like vintage Kawhi. Like, he's averaging 27. He was averaging 27 in March on insane efficiency and was looking like the robot that we had seen him, for multiple years when he's been healthy. And when I look at Denver,
I can't do it.
this team it's not good enough right now. Like, this team is not good enough to go against this Clippers team and beat them in a 7-game series. I think when you have Jamal Murray being your number two, in 2023, it was fantastic. He had an all-time playoff run as a Robin when he went out there, and averaged a double-double in the NBA Finals, and he was going, we're going into that next season like, is he the best Robin in the NBA? But we're 2 years removed from that, and now it's clearly that he is not the best Robin in the NBA. He might not be even a top 5 or top 10 Robin in the NBA because he has so many injuries and just inconsistent play. And then you look at the Clippers, what they're able to do to match up against the Denver Nuggets. I think you make the argument that out of all of the teams that Denver could have played in the first round, the Clippers might be the one team they want to avoid. Because although Jokic is going to get his, Zubac has done a great job historically, especially over these last couple of years. I saw Carson's tweet. Decent man, Carson guy, decent guy. Who does a great job guarding him one-on-one, holding him to a sub 40% field goal percentage. You have multiple guys that can go out there and guard Jamal Murray. Now it's like, all right, you're not taking Jokic out the picture, but you're going to make it difficult on him, more than shit we've seen Anthony Davis do over the last couple of years. You're going to make life difficult on Jamal Murray because you have multiple guys that if Chris Dunn had the minutes requirement, he probably would have been an all-defensive type guy. Derrick Jones Jr. is, of course, one of the better perimeter defenders in the NBA as well. So now I'm like, all right, Denver, it's on the role players. And you look around those role players, it's like, this doesn't feel like a series where those role players are going to step up and be someone that they kind of not been, right? Like, I agree with you, John. I think Aaron Gordon does get disrespected. He's been a great three-point shooter this year. But it would surprise me if he shot 32% from 3 this series. No, not at all. I think Christian Brown's a really good player. It's one of my favorite players in the league. I love the way he plays the game the right way. But if that's like oh shit, we got Christian Brown, like this is the guy that's going to tip the series, I just disagree. I think I think the Clippers have the better role players. I think they have the better defense. I think they have the better head coach. Of course, you got Nikola Jokic. You're not going to count them out. I think this is a 6-7 game series. I got the Clippers winning that series. But I think this is going to be the most competitive series still. Even with all the advantages that the Clippers do have in my head, I still feel like Nikola Jokic maybe being a bit disrespected because the Clippers, I believe, are the favorites, or maybe it's a pick 'em right now going into this when we were talking a couple months ago like, oh yeah, Denver's got this easy.
It's definitely a pick 'em. I get both sides. I get Denver right now.
Just having the better player.
Yeah, the vibes are definitely off.
Team,
But they're 3-0
in Denver.
Allen, come on.
Yeah, the vibes are off for sure, but they do have the best player in the series, and we know when you have the best player in the series, it does help you a ton. And certain guys could will you a series, But Kawhi's at a different level right now. Harden's at a different level right now. Clippers play at an isolation rate. They play to their strengths. I think there's a lot of guys on Denver that Kawhi and Harden will be able to pick apart. I don't like certain Clipper lineups, though. I think certain Clipper lineups are going to be favorable to Denver in terms of them being able to guard. Because a lot of those Clipper lineups really suck offensively and put Kawhi or Harden in bad positions. And I think Denver will be able to feast off that where their defense won't be able to get chewed up a ton. But the coaching experience, I think Ty Lue comfortably clears whoever that guy is on Denver. I don't even know bro's name. Yeah, him.
David Allen.
Ty Lue comfortably clears him. So that's and he's one of the best playoff coaches in basketball. So that's something extremely important. Also, I think Zubac is a better defender against the Joker than Rudy Gobert because he has the size. He has the physical size. He's a lot stronger, a lot bigger, a lot bulkier.
AD too.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably the same size as the Joker physically. So he has that same build. And plus, Zubac has been a great player this year. He's been one of the
borderline all-star guy.
30 best players in the league this year.
And that's where, you mentioned Harden, and if he struggles, which is a possibility.
He could struggle.
His history has shown that he can struggle in the playoffs.
Yeah, we know.
If he struggles, you better watch it. if he does struggle, Zubac has ascended to an all-star level player that you can run offense through. He's one of the most efficient post-up players in the league. So
he's a pick and roll threat, which is a big key with Harden and him kind of pulling Jokic out the paint. And Jokic wants to play high up. He's not going to try to drop. So if you're rising him up, it allows those different bounds.
But even if you get a switch, if anybody is on Zubac, not named Jokic in the post, it's an easy back down in 2 points.
I Norman Powell and shit.
Yeah, Norman Powell also
and
isolation against MPJ.
All those guys are
Bogdan's a liability on defense, so could be something you take advantage of.
So that's why I feel like Harden can struggle, but they have enough parts to where if Harden struggles, I don't think it's make or break for them. I think they can still win.
If they played them Ben Simmons, Derrick Jones,
I don't think Harden's got to go out there and dominate in the series.
Please,
you're good. If you see Ben Simmons, Derrick Jones,
I don't know if he touches the floor in non-garbage time.
Shit, Denver's good.
Ty Lue has to remind Ben Simmons to shoot.
You can't remind a man to do something he won't do.
That's what he said. He said sometimes I have to remind him.
That's a grown man.
He went from being one of the most fluid athletes of all time.
He had a layup.
He moves like he has a metal rod.
He had a layup against the Warriors. He
has had a lot of back injuries.
That's why.
Yeah.
So get into more of your
I got
reasoning,
Denver,
Riff.
by the way.
Yeah, you have Denver. You don't have the Clippers.
Shit. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say.
Sorry, drunk. I got Clippers.
Yeah.
I got Clippers.
Clippers in what? How many games?
6 out of
6
Yeah,
games.
I think the only Clippers win this series.
Tugging on my bar. I mean,
they're better than you guys. I'm sorry.
3v2.
Tugging on my balls.
Yeah, Drew's got Denver.
Yeah, 3 people here have the Clippers. 2 people have the Denver Nuggets.
It's like the only reason, and I don't mean to sound like a dick, but the only reason to pick Denver is because, one, they have the best player in the world, which is a valid reason.
That's like the only reason.
But number 2, you don't think Kawhi's going to finish the series. And if you don't think he's going to finish the series, cool. Like, it's happened before, a lot actually. But if you think he's healthy and fully loaded, there's no reason why right now you should pick Denver over the Clippers.
People oftentimes use the Suns series as an example where he played like 1 or 2 games and then he was just
a game
gone.
He was literally hurt in the second game. He had his ACL messed up.
He went into that series kind of a little bit hobbled. Like he wasn't 100%.
Practicing. I remember
that series, the Dallas series, he went in. He was hobbled again. Like
he wasn't ramped up like he is now.
To be fair,
he has a real ramp up
period.
period.
The issue, and we usually don't know about it until after the fact when it's a game before game 3. It's Kawhi Leonard's down definitely.
So
if
he doesn't practice today, it's like he's fine. He's
so
fine.
They be lying.
In defense, there's really no rhyme.
Is that why you're picking Denver?
No, it's not why.
So Kawhi 100% healthy entire series. You still got Denver.
Like I just said before, it could be 5 days from now. You get that report and you're like, I had no idea he had some issues kind of flare back up. It can happen suddenly. So
guess what? If that happens, I'm switching my pick.
It's gonna be really funny when Kawhi
it's valid at that point.
No, it's gonna be really funny when Kawhi does stay healthy. The Nuggets win the series.
Yep.
Oh, all right, John.
Yep.
So those were our Western Conference playoff predictions. We're gonna take a break in the podcast and be back with the Eastern Conference. Yo, Riv, what are you doing?
Yo, what happened?
Tell him what to do, Riv.
Yo, like and subscribe on the podcast. We need all the support in the world, please and thank you.
And man, try to post notifications too while you're at it.
Eastern Conference playoff predictions. I feel like there are 2 good playoff series in the first round. The other 2 are kind of snooze fests. The Cavaliers, they're going to play the winner of the Heat or the Hawks. I mean, I guess we got to get into who's going to win between the Heat or the Hawks first, right? That's probably
Heat shouldn't win. They shouldn't win.
Tyler Hero.
Best player in this game is Trae or Bam.
Trae.
But
what about Tyler Hero?
Yeah, Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero. Oh yeah, don't get me twisted. Tyler Hero is their best player last night.
Trae Young is so much better than him.
Is he?
Yeah. Chicago off defense.
I love how the Bulls lost,
so bad.
And it reaffirmed everybody's opinion. Oh, this is why Josh Giddey sucks.
Oh yeah, Josh Giddey was getting slandered.
He was awful.
He wasn't even that bad.
Oh, God.
I mean,
you look at his box
I told you,
Yeah,
I didn't watch the game.
Impact was
But I looked
he's
at
a number
box score,
guy.
it was
His
like,
numbers
9
be
for
nuts.
21. Whatever.
You know,
Kobe White was 5 for 20.
Kobe wasn't good either.
Kobe White to play.
He was terrible.
They always.
But that was
terrible.
best case scenario for
But like,
the
you're about
Bulls.
to pay Josh Giddey $30 million.
Well, you don't know
Thank
if you're
God
about
not
to
part
pay
of the
that.
organization
Like
anymore,
who?
man.
Really,
Thank
like
God.
Chicago.
It is the Bulls.
It's the Bulls.
It's the
You
Bulls.
know
They're
they're
gonna-
giving $30 million.
Maybe
sure
that's
they-
possibly
Charlotte
true.
gave Miles Bridges 25.
I just hate when teams pay players when there's no bidding war. Like the Raptors paying Quickly 30. It was like nobody's trying to pay him 30.
Yeah.
Why are you paying him 30? Like I would rather him go and test out the open market and go see what you can get. That's a smart front offense.
People are upset with Chicago because although they finally picked a direction, they took so long to finally pick this direction, which you knew was the right decision for mad
4
long.
years ago.
Yeah, like dude, you knew this was the right decision. You just chose to prolong it.
You know what I want the next decision to be? Yeah. I want the Bulls to go out and make a big risk, a big swing.
Bonus.
And either it's going to be a strikeout or they're going to hit a home run.
You know what that swing is? I saw Zach Lowe make it today. I think it is probably the best fit for the Bulls, Zion Williamson.
I think that's what it is. I think it's going out and trading for Zion. Bring some excitement. Bring Michael Jordan back.
If you get yourself a center like Kaman Malawash in the draft, yeah, Mataz, this is a complete theoretical scenario. Mataz at the 3, Zion at the 4, and a young player like Kaman at the 5. Who's shooting? That's what the 1 and the 2 is for.
Okay, all right.
And Mataz is someone that can develop a 3-point.
Is it Kaman or is it Kaman?
I think it's Kaman.
Come on, okay.
But we can confirm it closer than
he doesn't rebound.
Yeah,
no, he did have 0 in their loss.
Yeah, that's kind of what
Houston.
The Duke,
0 rebound game.
Malawash.
Oh yes, he
doesn't.
He did not play good.
But no, Zion on the Bulls would be cool.
No, he could rebound.
But it doesn't matter.
He averaged like under double digits.
Yeah, he didn't play a lot. I think he played like 20 minutes.
Yeah, he's very raw
like
player.
More of a developmental.
He's raw. He's raw as hell.
But the Cavaliers, they're gonna play the Heat or the Hawks. I mean, it doesn't matter. Whoever they play, is this like a 4-game series? Is this a sweep?
5 absolute most.
5 Miami, because shout out to Spo. I'll give Spo his respect. He'll get one.
This Heat team's gritty, and they have kind of this little nice identity they've built with Davion Mitchell playing well and Wiggins integrating in. And Tyler Hero, of course, played so well last night. I feel like...
when Vooch is the rim protector, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but this is someone that in the playoffs, I was told he is completely improving in the playoffs. And
he isn't. John,
here we go.
Look up the playing stats. Tell me if you can find them.
You can't find them.
I know you can't.
But how about the 2020 playoffs? Anyways.
You love to bring up 5 years ago.
He was a rookie.
Bring me something else.
He was a key part of it.
Do you have anything else?
Because that was the only chance he had. And that
this
one chance he played
playoff performance?
No, it's Tyler Hero. He's a proven player.
Tyler Hero's a great player.
Ooh. He's a really good player.
He's a great player. He just made the All-Star game.
Now let me continue my...
He averaged 24, 5, and 5 this year.
Necessity.
No, he was good. I had him as a borderline All-Star.
Necessity.
Anyways, back to my point. This Heat team is definitely going to get a game to me. I think between Spoelstra and the way they've been defending, and what I really like a lot is Khalil Ware as a drop defender. I think the Heat have found their future front court with him and Bam Adebayo for the better part of the next decade. And it is very cool to see that
man.
They've kind of cycled through point guards and centers. I had a tweet today that it's death taxes and the Heat train out a random role player that can start a point guard every 2 years, whether it was Tyler Johnson, Gabe Vincent, Kendrick Nunn in 2020. And now I think Davion Mitchell is the perfect Miami Heat guy with the intensity he plays with, and he's been making shots too. He's been playing well on both ends. So I think Miami gets a game against the Cavs just out of respect.
Who would you rather play, Riff?
Just looked at Tyler Hero's playoff stats.
Was he 16?
He should suck.
He has a chance to rewrite the narrative here.
Against the Cavs?
Yeah.
You're the worst.
No, he doesn't.
Tell us, what did he do last year in Game 1 versus y'all?
In Game 1? Game 2 is
game
the game
that they
1.
won.
Yeah. They hit 22 threes as a team.
What did he do?
I think he
He went off. I don't remember what he did.
I think he averaged
How much did he average?
He averaged 17 last year in the playoffs.
How many assists? What was the efficiency?
I got you. 5 assists. He shot 30. He shot 38, 34, 90.
I'm playing out of position at point guard.
Oh my god.
You asked me what to say. Yeah, that wasn't good. Yeah, Miami, I think they'll get one. Or
You'd rather play them than Atlanta?
Don't care.
I feel you.
Probably Atlanta.
I'd rather play Atlanta.
Yeah, Spo.
I'd rather play Atlanta.
Yeah, I'd rather play Atlanta.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter.
It's a 4 or
5 at most. If it's 6, I'm looking at Cleveland a lot different.
The next series, I think, is also an easy one.
That's reactionary out of you.
Reactionary? I mean, what you mean? I mean, they've been playing mid for 2 months, and then you go into this series and you don't set tone. I don't like that. You know?
Fair enough.
I would like you to set some tone.
I think the Celtics are going to sweep the Magic.
Yeah, I think it's another 5 max series.
This is another match.
Jaylen Brown. What's that about? Talk to me. What's that about?
Celtics.
Is that something to think about? You know,
I mean, this round 1, I think it doesn't really matter. He could not play. I think he beat Orlando.
Round 2, it matters though.
Round 2, yeah, for sure. You lose Jaylen Brown, it looks funny. Now it's a 7-game series, you still win. But
maybe it's a 6-game series instead of 5. I don't know. No, Jaylen Brown. I think the Celtics beat Orlando in 4 or 5 games. I think Orlando just their offense is so bad that like the Miami Heat took a game last year because they hit 22 threes. Orlando, I don't know if they hit 22 threes over like a 5-game stretch this year. I mean, they just can't really shoot the ball. They can't really.
Have they hit 20
There's no
threes
shot. There's no shot they've hit 22 threes.
There's like nothing the Magic.
That's one of those stats you don't.
They're just a good defense. They're a good defense, and you know if Paulo and Franz find a game where they connect, they could take one.
I'm praying to go 7.
But Jaylen Brown, he's been practicing in full. They say he's not limited. I mean, all the teammates and coaches be like, oh, it looks good. He's 100%. He's gonna be fine. We'll see, because the last couple weeks, month of the season, he has not looked good. This is his minutes have come down. He's been playing no more than like 25 minutes a game over the last month. When he has played, he's played hobbled. Like he has clearly been not at 100%. And that's going to impact him more than anything on defense, right? I think the Celtics are more than fine offensively with KP being healthy, but defense, we saw last year, this was the guy that was taking the toughest offensive player a lot of the times in these series. So that's going to be the biggest deterrent if he does get injured, or if he is injured, I should say. But for round 1, they should be fine.
I'm praying this should go 7 games. I really.
The Celtics,
the Magic.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Orlando so hard.
The Magic play guys well.
So hard. I'm rooting for Orlando. Bro.
Celtics are 2-1 versus the Magic this year.
2-1. We can make that in 6.
The one game they lost, nobody played.
Yeah.
The Celtics scored 76 points.
That was Payne Pritchard as like their best. Literally,
I need Boncaro.
That was like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, not long ago.
It must be so depressing to be one
know
of
who
these
got
teams.
minutes in that game? Do you know who Miles Norris is?
Yeah.
I don't.
Miles Norris.
Who the hell is that?
Yeah.
I think Torrey Craig played a lot for y'all in that game.
Yeah, Torrey Craig at least been on the
Baylor
roster.
Shireman. If I'm Boston, Jaylen Brown hasn't played since April 8th, and I look at this matchup, I don't have any fear versus this Orlando team. I mean, I don't want to disrespect Corey Joseph, but like you look at the guys around, you look at the guys around Franz and Paulo. It's really a hopscotch crew of Anthony Brown, Anthony Black, Wendell Carter Jr.
Wendell Carter's gonna get exposed,
and
man.
I feel like it's
Bringing
the
him up.
type of series where if Jaylen Brown's not 100%, you rest him for the entire series, and you make sure you have him healthy for the rest of the playoffs. If I'm Boston, I don't want to jeopardize Jaylen Brown re-aggravating or kind of accentuating this injury by playing him in a meaningless series we're most likely not going to need.
I think the scary thing about his injury is, at least, I think reading between the lines is time off might not really make it better or worse. I think like the fact that he was playing this last month, a lot of people thought like, oh, he's trying to get 65 to play All NBA, but then he sat the last like 3-4 games to play like 62 or whatever. But it's just a bit concerning
Why did you yell that?
I just don't want to disrespect a solid point guard.
I thought it was absurd.
Corey Joseph's not solid.
He's been in the
He said
NBA for
what?
a decade plus. I'm not going to
You
disrespect
need to
him.
worry about the Magic shooting. You can't disrespect Gary Harris.
No. Yo, I don't really respect him as a 3-point shooter, but I'm respecting him as a tenured
Joseph
NBA
has
player.
been in the league for some
What is
time.
Corey Joseph gonna have? Like 5
He's
points?
he's one of the premier, third, fourth guards in the NBA.
That's
Someone's been in the
not
NBA for a
premier
long time.
third, fourth
He's someone's been a solid backup. Him and DeLon Wright are the
That's
two.
a backup.
When I think of stable, I know in Golden State he was not good, but when I think of like stable 11th, 12th guys that are locker room presences, they've been in the league for
He's
a
a
decade
locker room
plus.
presence for sure.
Like there's the
Good vet.
I don't want to get off topic here, but I'm not going to disrespect someone who's had a long NBA career.
Shout out to Corey Joseph.
What?
It was just like the first person you named. Like we're like, let's preview the Magic. Okay, yeah, I don't want to overlook the Magic and disrespect Corey Joseph. That's how it sounded. Oh,
That shit
I
killed
can't.
me, bro.
I can't. No, this is the most airtime we're gonna give the Magic, and honestly,
unfortunate.
it's pretty depressing if you're one of these 7 seeds outside of the Warriors in the West. The 1-8 matchup in the West, the 1-8 and 2-7 matchup in the East.
It's unfortunate.
They're kind of just breeze bys.
We had a lot of hope and faith on this podcast in Orlando being a much better team than where they are right now. At least being where Detroit is
we
right
thought
now.
they were gonna
Like, yeah.
beat the Pistons this
Yeah, like we thought this was going to be a team that makes it really competitive. Dells thought they could beat Cleveland again. Just stupid shit like that. And now we're sitting here, and now they're in a playing spot, and they're like about to get spanked. So it's like
They had a long
unfortunate.
season for 2 sentences worth of any like real analysis of how they can win. That's it. It's
I mean, it's been
unfortunate.
injury related. Of course,
Why
no
are you
Jalen
coming
Suggs.
so
no-
nasty?
no-
He's
Like, what
wilding
is
on
with
the
the Magic?
It's unfortunate.
Their year was basically torpedoed by losing Jalen Suggs and Mo Wagner, and then, of course, Franz and Paulo for different.
Well, I guess you didn't really say anything about the Heat or the Hawks, so you've just been so negative about the
Yeah,
Magic,
yeah.
and the
That
Heat and
was
the Hawks
your
just like
baby.
whatever.
He's like, cause he's baby Celtics. He's like the baby.
Yeah,
Celtics
all of them
player.
really. It's just breeze by. We don't have to talk about them much. Let's talk about the Knicks and the Pistons.
Let's get real nasty.
The 3-6 matchup. There's been a lot of Pistons-related propaganda.
You saw what Carmelo said?
What did he say?
About the matchup? It was him, Spike Lee. They was on his podcast, him and Spike Lee, and they was talking about, like, Detroit got crash outs. Like, the Knicks have to get physical, aggressive in this matchup, you know, because Detroit, they love that bad boy mantra, and they are crash outs for real.
Pretty awesome.
This is a series worth talking about. I think this is a great series. I was going to go to game 1, but it just became too much of a hassle logistically.
I don't blame you.
I get it.
Playoff game with the Garden, I don't get that.
But
I don't get that.
I mean, you're missing basically the entire slate. Except the first game of the night.
Because you think about it, where I am, 3:30 is Clippers and Nuggets. The game at the Garden starts at 6, which means that I need to be out of here by 4 to make it to the Garden with the New York City traffic.
Me, I'm in like the metro with like the game on my phone while I'm going to MSG. That's
yeah,
me.
but I'm driving.
If you're driving, that's different. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm driving. I'm gonna miss that game.
Yeah.
And also, you can never be too reliable. Sometimes the connections are just very up and down.
That's true. When you go underground,
You know,
I mean, if you want to go, the most part like drive to see Caucus, take the train in.
Yeah.
That's probably why. But I'm missing the Clippers Nuggets, and then later on in the day, after the Knicks and Pistons game ends, right after the Lakers and the Timberwolves play, I think they play at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
It's an 8 p.m. game. So I'm missing most of that game. The drive back home, I'm going to miss the entirety of it. And I'm missing WrestleMania because WrestleMania is this Saturday. So you're talking about if I go to MSG, I'm missing Clippers Nuggets, I'm missing Lakers Wolves, and I'm missing WrestleMania, which means that now at night I have to rewatch 2 games or wake up early and rewatch them on Sunday.
I get that, but as a Knicks fan, I can't imagine passing up the experience to get that in the Garden.
No, I'm just going to go
other
again.
Opportunities when there's not 4 games in WrestleMania.
Yeah,
you know?
because it's not the only game
like
that's
a
on.
Tuesday or something.
Yeah. I'm not. What are you saying there, Riv?
He's
You know?
coming.
This is your team.
No, this is my team.
This is
but
the Garden in the playoffs.
If you sold
Game
me,
1.
If you sold, yeah, it's game 1. It's the most meaningless game of the series. It is.
It's the first game in the postseason.
It is
that
the
means
first game in the
fans are going to
postseason.
be probably.
But you know, this is where
It's gonna be crazy every game.
I made myself.
Stop
I made
pocket
myself a
watching.
deal. The deal I made with myself is that I'm selling these tickets, and I'm going to round 2, first game 3, Knicks versus Celtics.
You're banking on the fact to win the series.
I think we will.
What if you lose? No, that'd
If
be
you
funny
lose,
as
then
shit.
And guess
Well, you
what?
could also
If-
go to like game
tough
5
spot.
or something.
And this is the thing:
Tough spot.
if we lose against the Pistons, I'm glad I didn't spend my money going to this game.
But you're
1.
heartbroken. Like, you're devastated. Like,
Yeah,
it's
of
like,
course.
damn.
But
like,
we should definitely beat the Pistons, and I think we will
Facts.
beat the Pistons.
That's a fact.
I mean, Cade Cunningham is going to be amazing this series. I think OG Anunoby is going to do a great job, doing the best job he can on him, and I think he can make it tough on him. Cade isn't the most efficient scorer out there, but really outside of Cade, they don't have any offensive initiator, and I think they're too small. Isaiah Stewart is an awesome defender, but he's 6'8". And I know that these smaller defenders have had success against Cat, and that can always happen, but I think the Knicks are just better top to bottom with Brunson, Cat, OG, and Mikal with Josh Hart, having Mitchell Robinson back and Deuce McBride off the bench. I think we're a much deeper team. We're a better offensive team, and we finished 14th in defensive rating on the season, so we have been terrible against elite level offenses that have multiple creators on the perimeter, but when we have 2 defenders in theory in Mikal and OG that can do a good job against Cade Cunningham, then I think you live with the other stuff. So I think the Knicks are going to win this series. I give a lot of respect to the season that the Pistons have had, but this should be a 5-game series. I think the Knicks should handle business.
Yeah, I honestly don't think, and I love Detroit, love what they've done, you know, love the progression they've made. I don't think this should be a long conversation. I think the Knicks should win this series. I think the Knicks are the better team. They're the more experienced team. They're the more talented team. I don't think Detroit is that good. I think they built their reputation off a really good, you know, defense. You know, they built it off of an identity, a strong culture. And like we've mentioned in the past, regular seasons, if you play good defense, you can win a
floor gets
ton of
very
games.
high.
Yeah, the floor is extremely
I'm
high.
surprised. I thought you were going to go with the Pistons.
No, I'm going to troll for sure and say I got Pistons, but realistically, the Knicks should win this series in 5 or 6 games. I expect Cade to be amazing. I expect Cade to show up and do his thing. It's a lot of with Detroit. It's a lot of guys who you have questions about, especially offensively. When you take away Cade, when you send 2 at the ball, how many guys can you really trust? I don't worry about the size too much. I think Isaiah Stewart plays bigger than 6'8". I think Jalen Duren is. We've seen him in person. Jalen Duren is a monster. He's
not
ridiculous. So I think Detroit, and I think New York, they're gonna have a lot of counters. I think that's the difference. They have a lot of counters. They're gonna have a lot of offensive sets that they can go to. I don't think Detroit is going to have the same amount of options, the same amount of opportunities. But I think New York, they're one of the best offenses in basketball. They have a ton of options they can go to, especially late. You saw a difference in OG Anunoby. You should have Cat. You have Jalen Brunson. There's just a lot of things that they can go into their bag for offensively. And I don't think Detroit has the same bag, because I just don't think they're the same type of talent.
Right.
So for me, I got the Knicks in 5 or 6 games. I think Detroit is okay. I think they've made it this far out of grit and out of grind and out of their culture. But the New York Knicks should win this series, and they should win it handily.
This reminds me a lot of the 2-7 matchup in the West between the Warriors and the Rockets, where you've got the young, fresh blood going up against a very seasoned veteran team. And in this matchup, I think 2 of the cool storylines to follow are, 1, how this Pistons defense, which has been great this season, is able to defend Jalen Brunson. And I believe, putting myself in the shoes of J.B. Bickerstaff, he might start off with putting a Sore Thompson on him, one of the toughest physical matchups athletically. I think he gives Jalen Brunson at least a challenge in the series to score against. And now you've got one of the league's premier young defenders against a sensational playoff scorer and offensive engine. The other thing I'm kind of intrigued by is what you highlighted briefly is Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren, the progression of those 2 this year in the front lines and how they're able to contain Karl-Anthony Towns, because it's been one of, if not Karl-Anthony Towns' best season in a new setting. So those are the 2 things that I'm interested in. But the reason why I think all of us here are going to go with the Knicks is the talent deficit between these 2 teams, where with New York, you look at that starting lineup, Josh Hart this year has been one of the best playmakers for his usual in the NBA. That's their 5th starter. You've got Mikal Bridges as your 4th and OG as your 3rd. The depth and the shot ratio and the shooting in that lineup just gives them a very clear advantage, where the Pistons' number 2 shot creator, their second weapon on offense, is their 6-man Malik Beasley, who's going to do more catch and shoot, off the ball scoring, opposed to being an engine that can take the pressure off of Cade Cunningham. So I do have the Knicks winning in 5 or 6 games. I'm leaning with 6 because I think this is going to be a muddy series. I think it's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be slow. I think it's going to be very intense. So I think Detroit's going to get them to kind of play a more traditional old school style like we saw the last couple of years. I remember last year that Knicks team with iHeart was very intense, and it was one of the more gritty playoff teams we've seen. I feel like this series is going to look more like that, to be sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only difference is this Knicks team doesn't really have the same like grit and grind type feel, because you did lose Hartenstein, you brought in Kat and Mikal, who
Mitch missed most of the year. Of course,
not that they're soft, but Hartenstein is he's just one of the toughest dudes in the league. Yeah. But yeah, I got the Knicks in 5 games. I think there's just a clear talent disadvantage, like you guys have mentioned. So much pressure on Cade for this to be his first playoff series, his first playoff setting. It's going to be in the Garden, in MSG, in New York. How rowdy that crowd's going to be. And really not having a second guy to take any sort of pressure off him, or third or fourth. They don't really got anybody that you give the ball to them and be like, okay, you know what, take a couple possessions off Cade. They just don't got that, unfortunately. And, the Knicks, although you don't have someone, like is a super great number 2 with the ball in his hands, like Kat could get his when you need to, right? He could take the ball off bounce a little bit. He could post up. He could do pick and pop threes. You got Mikal Bridges do a little bit. You got Ochi, who's showing a larger repertoire of offense this season, especially when Brunson went down. You saw him being more and more aggressive. You hope that translates into the playoffs. But yeah, the Knicks, they're the better team. It's going to be difficult for the Pistons to be able to, take even like 2 to 3 games in this series. Cade would have to go on some crazy run. And I think Cade could average 30, 35 this series and still lose in 5 games, just because, it's going to be a tough 30 to 35 when you have multiple defenders that you could throw at him. So yeah, I got the Knicks taking the series pretty comfortably.
I do too, and they're gonna need my energy. Game 3 when we're tied 1-1, with the potential chance to go up 2-1 in the series against Boston.
Oh
yeah.
I just realized what he said. Talk. Yeah. Beat Boston, please.
I'm hoping.
They beat Boston. Oh,
Jaylen Brown is not looking the best.
He's told me? He said every time we play, it gets closer and closer.
He said that last show.
I said
low key is cooking.
The very
I was gonna say, so it was a 40-point win, then
like
won like
20,
then like 15, then like 8.
They tickled you a little bit. They
Tickles.
We should have won last game.
They
Last
got
game we
blown out by
should've won.
25.
Yeah,
They
but
came
Jason
back
Tatum-
and made a 12-point
Yo,
game.
Dez, I
Great
tell you
shot.
what, if you guys lose to them, the Cavs are walking to the finals.
Yeah,
Yeah, walking to the finals.
they're not beating us.
With the way that things have been getting
Need it.
progressively, I think the Knicks lose game 1 to the Celtics by like
30.
5 points, and then game 2 they win, and then game 3 we win.
I feel like game ones be blowouts.
and we go up
for sure.
2-1.
I feel like
Game 3 against Boston, I'm actually looking forward to that. Now that I'm not going to this game, I'm looking. That's like the
That's
one
gonna be a
I'm eyeing.
$500 ticket. You know that. You know
Yeah,
that,
I
right?
know.
Like,
Yeah,
that's-
Celtics, Knicks,
that's
in
gonna
the
be
Now, if
Garden.
it's 1-1 going to game 3 and New York steals game 3, Lord have mercy.
That's just the game that I feel like I need to
won't
be
even
at.
worried.
I know you won't. But
The
the
only
only still
way,
game
really,
4.
The only way,
Not worried.
the only
Until they
way
get 4, I don't care.
I can really see that is if both Brown and Porzingis are not right.
Let's,
If we're
I'm not
down,
hoping
if we're
for it,
down
but
2-0, I
course
think we
not.
definitely win game 3.
talk.
Yeah.
No way you get swept, right?
No.
No
No way.
No way. No way.
I
I
mean, is Jaylen Brown playing?
We're too good. We're too good.
honestly almost kind of wish we lost the last game of the regular season because, like, you win 4 in a row again. Like, God, you're going to beat them. You're going to
5 times in a
go
row.
8-1 this year against them.
Yeah,
Damn,
they're due.
like,
They're due.
yeah.
They're due. They're due for us. It's gonna split in Boston. They're due for one.
Yeah,
So
let's
let's
on
hope-
this alive. It just came
It's
out of
Yeah, I
here.
know,
definitely
that was
hard to
crazy.
beat
That was
a team
crazy.
5 times in a row unless
He
you
got it
win.
on my pants, on my
My
hand.
fault, my fault.
Oh, Riv?
Riv.
My fault.
Margarita's
So
coming back
good.
up.
Let's hope Jaylen Brown's healthy. I'm not really hoping. No.
I'm hoping.
Sick
I think
man.
he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. But yeah,
They're
no.
going to shoot him up with something. You know that.
This is like the series that people were saying if an
Crazy?
upset happens, this is the one.
Sneaky.
What, Detroit?
Celt-
Yeah, people are going with the
Detroit Knicks.
Pistons. Yeah.
The home court advantage Detroit's going to have, there's this like one headline I saw that they're only selling their tickets to
Yeah.
people in the centralized region. I think the Piston fans that have been starved of a real playoff team as a chance to win a series in
Yeah.
over a decade, I think those fans are going to be rowdy enough to maybe they win both games. I wouldn't be totally surprised. That's the 2 games they do win, and they said they tie that series up 2-2. I think it'd be a very fun one going to Game 5.
I feel like there's a couple things that play with the Pistons' love. It's like one, they had a miraculous turnaround that teams often don't have. It was one of the best turnarounds, one of the 7 best turnarounds in NBA history. And with the Knicks, it's just a distrust for what they do. This is everybody collectively kind of has looked at the Knicks this year and is like, yeah, that's not a legitimate team.
It's just one move they made in the Mikel trade. The Cat trade worked out. The Anunoby trade was really good, and I think it worked out well for them because RJ and IQ weren't being maximized.
yeah, but the
So I
thing
think
is that
it's only a misstep.
the Knicks, they're not good against the Celtics, Cavs, and OKC, but
Kind of
they're-
3 best teams.
yeah, no,
maybe.
you're
That's
right.
not
But
good.
you know, against a team like the Pistons, I think they should take care
Well,
of
they
business.
should.
Yeah, I mean,
Riv, what do
they're
you think?
1
Who's the
and
best
3
player in the series, Cade or Jalen Brunson?
It's Jalen Brunson.
Cade. What? Oh, Cade. Cade. Who's gonna probably like
That's a common opinion in this series too.
Cade?
I think it's Jalen.
But like Cade has to see OG. I'm not even gonna count Mikel. It's just OG.
You just got to see
I
OG.
think this reminds me of De'Aaron Fox Steph 2 years ago in 2020.
What?
What?
Steph versus De'Aaron Fox.
Who's who in this?
Yeah, there's no way.
who's Steph
this
Curry?
What are you
Brunson,
talking about?
Steph, and
No.
and Cade
There
De'Aaron.
was no shot in hell. Fox.
I know Fox hurt his finger or his hand specifically, and that kind of hurt his series. But I think it'll be that going back and
Were
forth. The 2
people
of them.
There was no shot in hell. Fox was outplaying
Fox
Steph.
was over Curry?
2023. No, I'm saying that matchup in the playoffs, the first round series. This
Just like they're going
Did
bar
that
for
go
bar.
over your
This
head?
is 100%
that
going
go
over.
over
No,
your
because
head?
we were talking
When
about
the
who's
Kings
the
played
better
the
player in the
Warriors
I
in the
agree.
series.
first round.
But we're thinking like Cade could outperform Brunson.
De'Aaron, not many expected him to match level of Steph, and he did for the better part of that series.
Well, you said who's the
Until
best
Game
player.
7, of
You
course.
said who's the best player in the series, which made me think who's the
Who's
best
gonna
player
have the
Fox
best
starts.
series?
Steph led the league.
Who's
in
going to have the best series?
Steph led every game in scoring.
I think from a PR
De'Aaron had a
perspective,
great series. I think it'll remind me of that.
like going into that series, nobody was like, yeah, Fox over Curry. Like it was
Yeah, but
pretty
in that
unanimous.
series, Fox made it like a,
Oh, I
a
understand.
discussion.
I understand
Yeah.
100% what you're saying. I'm just saying that
Discussion is nuts.
right now with Cade
I
and
can't stand you sometimes. You're the worst. You generally
He said it too.
What'd I say?
Whoa, why are you mad
I
at
feel
me?
like going into the
I don't know why
series,
he's mad.
like that,
Dell's asked questions. You immediately got very
assumes.
judgmental.
We got the same vibe. It was the same vibe.
No.
He didn't understand
the
you.
average NBA fan has gone into this series and is like, yeah, I think Cade's better than Brunson. Like I think
a fact.
people, that's kind of the opinion. Like it's not like Steph versus Fox where it's like, yeah, Brunson's just better. I think there's a lot of people that think like Cade is better, and that's why they are picking up.
Would you rather? Who'd you take?
Well, Brunson's a better player.
I didn't ask
Like if
that.
I'm rathering the next like 5 years,
Would you
you
rather?
know, I would go with Cade.
5. Probably next
Next
3.
5 years, I'm going with Cade. But Brunson, I think he has like 3 to 4 years of like elite level.
Cade could be
play
better
still.
than Brunson as early as like next year.
He could be.
Like end of next year.
I mean, if Brunson drops off, you know.
I don't think so.
If Brunson
Even-
stays at the
They're
level,
like they're close
Yeah, it's like
right now.
close. Like if you
This
give
year's-
I think at the end of next year you could be saying like Cade's better.
It's more likely Cade makes a high roll.
It's just Brunson probably doesn't get better than what he is. Like that's
Brunson-
not a bad thing.
he's
He's a
probably
borderline
peaked.
top 10
Yeah.
player. But Cade, he's super young still.
no, that's true. That's a good point.
That's not even no slaughter. Brunson's a dog.
Yeah, OD.
But I don't think it's going to be rooted in anything concrete. Like right now, people are taking Cade because of the regular season. He's had
He had a
He's
better
also
regular
just
season.
he's new. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
came onto the scene. People want to crown him as something.
But if if he outperforms him in this playoffs, I think it's pretty set in stone.
Facts. But if Cade had probably a slightly better regular season, right? And then he had a better playoffs. And then going into next year, he has a better regular season again. Now you're like, all right, well,
Cade has to outperform Brunson in his playoff series for that to be the case.
probably
I
won't
think.
though. It's gonna be tough.
So Drew has the
He's got the Knicks ready
the
now.
Cavs in 4, the Celtics in 5, and the Knicks in 6.
Oh,
And
he's
it's
back
exactly
thanks to
what I had,
Boston,
basically.
man. Cavs
so
in
so
4
far,
for
I
Celtics.
don't think he has any 7-game series. So no 7-game series. And his last prediction, which is going to be our last one too, of course. Pacers versus Bucks. Drew has the Bucks in 6. Now it's just reported that Dame is going to be
Might
cleared,
be.
but it's an important caveat
Hit
because
button,
they're
Delph.
ramping. They're
John,
ramping
this is
up.
on you.
Oh yeah, usually that's the responsibility chair of the
It's the
remote.
responsibility.
Yeah, but there's a ramp up period for Dame to come back. I don't think he plays the first 2 games of the series. I think if he plays in this series, it's gonna be Game 3, the home opener for the Milwaukee Bucks. That's kind of the assumption that I have. But he has been cleared. We thought that his season was gonna be over, so that's a good sign for the Bucks. I want to know where you guys were at though pre-Dame news. Like before the Dame news, what's your prediction? Just real quick, what was your prediction?
I had Pacers.
Pacers?
I ended up thinking on Pacers. I still have the Pacers.
Okay.
I think they just have had more continuity all year. I think their offense is a lot more difficult to guard. And in a Milwaukee defense that's kind of going to be in a lot of scramble mode, they don't really have the wing defenders, guard defenders, and their bigs are a lot more slow-footed. I think Indiana will be able to get their offense off a little bit more. And I think they've been playing at a high level, especially post-January. Hallie, Pascal, Benedict, like Aaron Nees, like all these guys have been playing really good basketball. So for me, I think Indiana right now, I think both of these teams don't have no stout defensive teams. I think both of these teams are whatever defensively. So I'm relying more on offense, and I think Giannis is going to get his own. But I trust 1 through 8 for Indiana. I trust their offensive infrastructure a little bit more. I trust their ability to create more open looks. So for me, I got Indiana in the series. I think it goes 6 or 7 regardless. But I got Indiana winning this
So
one.
the opinion has not changed. It stays the same.
Yeah.
Is it still the same games too, or
Yeah. Still, it goes 6-7 regardless.
Okay.
I do have Indiana. I don't, even if Dame does come back, that's a lot to ask from me. He hasn't played in a minute, and then on top of that ramp up stuff. It's tough to just go into the playoffs, especially with a team like Indiana, who I think they'll probably be up, so they'll have a lot of momentum, And I think a team like that, with the way their offense is playing,
gonna make him
they
run
love, they
and
gonna make him. They love
up
momentum,
and
and they're
down
gonna
that
make him
court.
work on defense. For me, I think it doesn't matter.
I had the Pacers in 6 before the news. Now we don't know when he's going to come back just because he's clear to play. And there's still like a question here because, a few months ago, the reporting made it seem as if he was not only out indefinitely, but there's no shot he would come back. So I'll take it up with the Bucks medical staff, assume they're doing the right thing to make sure he's fine to be out there. But under the impression he comes back for Game 3, let's say, I'm going to go with the Pacers still in 7 games. If he comes back Game 2, I think that can swing momentum in the Bucks'
so
direction.
Giannis
but
loses in the 7th game?
None of us are Giannis fans. You're missing the guy.
No, I know. I'm just asking because it seems like he had like 50 in a closeout Game 6. So
yeah.
Suns.
And I think the biggest question this series is how the Bucks are able to defend Indiana's offense because I expect Giannis to be amazing. I believe when Dame comes back, they'll integrate him in slowly by playing him more off ball, hopefully, because he is a great off the ball shooter. He's at 42% this year off the catch, but he takes more pull ups, about 1/2 more attempts in that aspect. But the biggest question for Milwaukee is going to be how you're able to combat Brook Lopez being played off the floor when you're doing these 2-man games with Miles Turner bringing him out into space. So if I'm Doc Rivers, which I kind of wish I wasn't, 'cause it's not a great spot. His track record's pretty brutal in the playoffs.
Well, you're not.
I think,
I don't wanna
thankfully
be
I'm
Doc.
not. I don't want to be
Got
Doc.
some money.
Actually, it's a good point.
Got a ring.
I don't want
Does
to
have-
be Doc.
does have a
I'm
point.
stamped in
He
Boston.
also
I'm cool
seems
being
like he
Doc.
hates his job.
Who do you want to be?
Anyways, I do believe
Darvin
that
Ham?
what he should
Good
do in
shot.
this matchup, play as much shooters and versatile defenders. That's probably going to be Bobby Portis over Brook Lopez, I think, to close games at times.
Facts.
And then on top of that, I think I have to rely on Kyle Kuzma a lot. And
Oh,
that's something
God.
I'm not feeling good about. When they made the trade, I didn't like it.
and it did not really show.
I was gonna say, I hope you don't like it.
Yeah, it's not. My opinion would not have changed based off what I've seen.
You sure you didn't like it? Hold on now.
I did say Kuzma played better, and he didn't.
Oh, okay,
so we'll see.
okay. Because
I
didn't like
expect
it
him to play like a rugged rebounder and a good off-ball mover, and he really hasn't been much of that. And I think one player that the Bucks are going to lean on along with Dame, and in his absence, is going to be Ryan Rollins, who's their best point of attack defender at the guard spot. And I think that's someone that, if you're counting on Ryan Rollins, who's first playoff run, kind of a younger, underdeveloped guard, that is where I look at Indiana's group, which is way more well-rounded, way more cohesive, with, I would say, a more deep team. And I really have a lot of optimism that Halliburton and Miles Turner are going to have great series, and Siakam's going to be a steady second option. And Giannis can put up 35, 12, and 6 on 60% shooting, and that may not be enough for the Bucks to win the series.
Yeah, I was extremely confident before the Dame news that Pacers would win. Even after the Dame news, I'm still pretty confident. You know, I'm not like 10 out of 10, but I'm still like an 8 out of 10. I think.
So you're still going with the Pacers?
I'm going Pacers in 6. I think obviously you want to have Dame back, right? Like there's no world where you keep Dame out if you're the Bucks, but it does complicate things a bit because you have Giannis, who has been playing sensational since Dame's been. I mean, he's been great all year. We know Giannis, first team All NBA, is gonna be top 3 MVP. Yeah. But really, when Dame went down, his level even stepped up a notch when he had to take more of an offensive load. So it is a little tricky, I think, that Giannis is kind of, you know, these last few weeks used to not having Dame. He's going to start this playoff series not having Dame. Then all of a sudden you're throwing Damian Lillard into the mix, and it's like, okay, now I kind of have to reintegrate Dame into this offense and make sure he gets his touches, but I still got to beat me. And listen, they've shown that they're able to win regular season games with them both on the court, but they haven't been able to show, because they were injured last year, that they're able to, you know, win the playoffs. So I do think it makes things a bit more complicated than if it was just Giannis for this series, and you have a very clear picture of what the offense is going to be and what, you know, just game to game, what his responsibility is going to be. And not that it changes a ton, but it's just a little, you know, a little wrench that gets thrown in there. But I think this is a really tough matchup for Milwaukee, who, you know, lacks athleticism, who's a bit older, who's a bit slower, going up against this Pacers team who is super high paced, right? They're going to get out in transition. You're going to have Tyrese Halliburton running up and down the court. You're going to have multiple guys that can guard, even though it's going to be tough to guard Giannis, of course. You're going to have guys that you could throw at Dame once he's back, whether that's Nembhard or Nesmith or whoever else. But the Pacers have shown this year just to be, I think, one of the more slept on teams, right? I think we look at last season and the run they went on. It's like, it was fake. You know, injury round 1, injury round 2. You get swept by Boston in the ECF, even though it's close. So you go into this season being like, they're really not that good. But when you stack them up against the other teams in the East, outside of Boston and Cleveland, like, I think the Knicks are probably like better, but they're in the same playing field, I think. Like, I don't think there's this huge tier gap between the Pacers and the Knicks if they matched up. I think that'd be a 6 or 7 game series. Of course, they're not going to, but in a hypothetical world. So I think they've just been slept on a little bit. And I think they you know, put some real tough, they make it tough for Milwaukee, just what they're going to be doing offensively. And Milwaukee, I feel like, you know, for the most part, what you're going to get from them. Like, you know, Giannis can go out there, he's going to dominate the ball. You're going to have Brook Lopez stretching the floor, hitting threes. But there's just the other guys on that team I just don't trust right now, right? Like, you have Giannis, who's going to be the best player in this series, but name me that other guy on Milwaukee right now that could be like, you know what, I could count on him game in and game out to be out there and do it. So you're asking a lot of Giannis, who it's Giannis. It's kind of similar to we're asking from Jokic, even though this Bucks team is worse. It's a lot to ask him to go up against this Pacers team that's strong on both sides of the ball, that has had a top 10 defense since the All-Star break. Pascal Siakam's been playing awesome basketball. Tyrese Halliburton's been playing awesome basketball.
A lot on Giannis' plate, man.
It's a lot on Giannis' plate, so that's why I got the Pacers winning the series.
You don't think he could do it?
I mean, I think there's a chance, but I'm pretty confident the Pacers can do it.
That's a good line of reasoning. That's why I'm surprised you picked Denver, because it was like, I think Denver and Milwaukee are like on the same boat where they have the best player in the series, but you can argue the other team's just a better
but the Nuggets
team.
supporting cast is way better.
And the Clippers are so much better in Indiana.
And also the Nuggets have home court advantage. So
talk, John. Like, don't let them disrespect your team. And the Clippers are better in
That's two
Indiana.
big differences. The home court advantage matters a lot for Denver.
Okay.
Talk. Don't let them disrespect your team,
52-80,
John.
man. Right? Yeah.
I mean, I got the Joker. It's a difference. Talk.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Clear's
I understand a little inconsistent, but I understand
That's
the line
not
of
inconsistent.
reasoning. No, it is.
It's not inconsistent.
It's 100%.
One team has the better player, the better supporting
You
cast.
can make
and
the
home
argument
court.
the other team has a better two-way
What
player,
about when
though.
Dame comes back?
Talk.
Like I said, we don't know if that's going to be game 2, game 3, game 4. We have no idea.
The way
So-
Shams reported it,
And
he's
even
pretty much
when-
reporting it like
even-
it's a miracle of God. It's
No,
gonna be
it
back.
really is.
No,
though.
they really
It-
made it seem like
I thought it was
cancer.
over. Yeah, I was sitting in your chair. I remember being like, yeah, it's
I
unfortunate.
think
run. They're
Dame at
going into the
80%
Melbourne.
is better than Jamal Murray.
Okay, but you and I both know that Aaron Gordon,
Really
Christian
fell
Brown,
off
and
on
Michael.
Jamal Murray,
There's
bro.
not a single role player in the Bucks that can fuck with Christian Brown, Michael
yeah,
Porter Jr.,
John,
or Aaron Gordon.
stop.
So that's just
Respect Bobby Portis.
36-year-old Brooke Lopez and Bobby Portis at this stage. They do not mess with.
With
Christian
all that
Brown.
being said,
Aaron
how come the Nuggets rank almost 12 spots worse defensively than the Bucks?
Because the big man.
The big five.
Wow.
The big five.
Like
Listen,
all
I'll tell you
around,
this.
all
One
around
team
the
won 50 games, and the other team didn't win 50 games.
Oh.
And at the end
where
of
were
the
the
day,
Bucks?
Bucks?
48,
49
49 games.
49 versus 50. And I think home court plays a big difference for a Nugget
This shit's
team
gonna be
that
so
is
funny if Denver
proven.
wins.
That's proven.
What
to
about the
beat
last
Clippers.
14 games? The Bucks are 10-4. That doesn't matter.
Well, that's without Dame. Now you're integrating someone back
Such
to
a
the lineup.
10-4. Like
we're actually
you know what I
like,
mean? Like
I think the
Getting
Bucks,
Dame
as of
games.
recently, they've had a lot going for them. Kevin Porter Jr. has played really well.
yeah.
He's playing better than anybody on the Nuggets bench.
not a big Kevin Porter Jr. guy.
But
At the end of the
blame
day,
him, brother.
listen,
Neither am I.
the thing, controversy aside, just like play on the court, he's been playing well.
He's been a huge part of the reason why they're 10-4.
Dame helps the Bucks' chances in the series, obviously, but it's not like him and Giannis were a match-made pairing.
Nah.
Or they're a top 10 offense, the two of them on the floor either. So I don't believe it's a true solution to the
They're not a
team that
bottom
they
10
were for the
defense
better.
either, like the Nuggets are, even with a healthy
You know, it's funny you
guys.
say that because the Nuggets were not a great defense in 2023, and then the playoffs they
No,
ramped
yes,
up
they were.
with their-
They absolutely were.
They're an average defense. They're actually top 10.
Before March and April, the Nuggets were one of the best defenses in the league.
They were top 10
They
at that
fell off
point.
when they started coasting.
Yeah.
You
But
know
for
that.
That's true, but for the entire 82-game season, they're out of the top 10. They're in the middle of
Yeah, the
middle
entirety of
pack.
this season they've been bad.
And this is
defensively.
the exact same personnel, except they're switching KCP with a more versatile version of him and Christian Brown. So,
Christian Brown's not a better point of attack defender than KCP.
okay, but he's a better off-ball defender, better help defender,
Okay.
more athletic version of him. I
Like
believe
no,
that,
this defense is bad. I've watched it all year long.
I
You
believe
can't
that the
gaslight me.
defense is struggling. It's worse because they don't have
Struggling,
Bruce Brown off the
So
bench.
you think they're just gonna magically turn it on?
No, I
So
never
they're still
said
gonna be
that.
bad.
Never said that. Never.
You're like
once
hoping they're like average
did I
at
say
least.
that?
definitely
But you
hoping
said
they're
I
average.
wasn't being consistent with the Nuggets supporting cast.
It's the same
Their
logic.
starting lineup is way better than the Bucks. The Bucks don't know who even they're playing.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And on
That's a
top
Yeah,
of
and
that,
the
their number
Pacers-
2 team's not playing the first game at
All right.
least, and maybe
And
more.
the- and
and
the-
they don't
And
have
the Pacers
home
are
court
a
advantage.
weaker team than the Clippers.
Facts.
Okay, fair enough.
Facts.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you're how about this? Siakam versus Harden and
the
Kawhi and
Bucks
Zubac.
are also weaker than the Clippers. You know,
The facts.
or the Pacers are weaker than
Both.
the Clippers, I should say.
Both of them are.
That's a
Clippers are
fact.
better than both of them.
Listen,
It's literally the East-West version.
I think the
I took both teams in 7 games. So the
Oh.
margin here is very
I don't want
narrow.
no wishy-washy. You took Denver. You took the Pacers.
Like I
I
said,
don't want no
Nuggets in 4,
wishy-washy.
Nuggets in 5.
No,
I
but you
said
picked the
Nuggets
Nuggets.
in
You stand on
7.
that.
You
Stand
picked
on that.
the margin here is a very fine
Nah,
line.
you picked them, John.
Oh, I picked them. Damn fucking straight I picked them. But they're going to a single elimination game. Anything could happen.
And you're taking the
maybe
best
this
player.
is my fault. Maybe I thought you said Nuggets in 6.
I said Nuggets in 7. If I
100%
didn't,
you did?
If I didn't,
I
it's in
thought
my
you said
notes.
Nuggets in 6.
I
too.
swear
If
to God, you said Nuggets in
If I
6.
said Nuggets
John,
in
I'm-
6, I'll check my notes.
John, I
It's
thought you
Nuggets
said
in
Nuggets in
7.
6. I
Can you
thought
check
Nuggets
your
in
notes?
7 in
Check
my
your
notes.
notes. Check your
Yep.
notes.
Well, what if,
Please
you,
right
what
now.
if we have to check the
Don't-
tape?
hey,
because
hey,
the
no,
notes can be
hey,
different, you know what I
don't,
mean?
don't.
right.
He usually
Don't-
Be honest. Be honest, John. Be
He's doing-
honest,
he's doing
Abe.
some typing.
John is an honest man. He's an honest
Be
man.
honest, Abe.
Denver in 7. Come on.
He said he
read
did
that?
say it.
Why is it so low?
On the
Denver,
turn-
he did say Denver.
It's
said.
at,
Okay,
it's
Denver
at
in
10%. Yeah.
Okay, I
brightness
believe
is
you.
so low.
I thought he said Denver,
confirm it.
Denver in 6. I did
See?
thought he said Denver in 6.
Edit
That's like-
history, if you want to
No,
say
I
history,
believe
yeah.
you. I believe you.
That's
Nuggets
like
in
the
7.
that's like the cop out of cop outs because I did that with the Lakers and Timberwolves. Like, yeah, it's in 7. So
Yeah, the best
if
player
the
you can
Timberwolves
get.
win the series, I'm like, yeah, but I had the Lakers in 7, so I thought they could win
That
too.
shit's so weak, man.
So
No, you said it was inconsistent when I had both games going to a
no,
single
it's just the
lead.
thought of the
Yeah,
picking
my
the
thought process
picking
said
the
one
worst
team's going to be
team.
home, the other team's going to be on the road
No,
in game
it's
7.
it's picking the worst team because they have the best player. You did it with Denver, but you didn't do it with Milwaukee. That's it.
Yeah, that's not going to be the root of my analysis.
The root of your analysis was Christian Brown locking up Harden.
Yeah, it's not Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. Why would I include
I'll be
those
honest.
two?
I don't know if I heard you say anything about Michael Porter. To be fair,
I understand.
He was not mentioned on this
Because
podcast.
we kind of understand what he is.
We know
No,
what
that's
he
a
is.
fact.
Shoot
High
the
level
3.
starter.
Rebound. Play
I'm
some solid
surprised.
defense.
I'm surprised that all you guys are going with the Pacers, even with the Dame news. Drew's going with the Bucks in 6.
We are not shocked.
I'm very wishy-washy on this matchup because I think even before the Dame news, I was kind of like, Giannis could take over. The Pacers don't have any answer for him defensively. And let's say this is just how a couple games go. Giannis drives in the paint. Miles Turner can't guard him, and he fouls him, and you have Miles Turner in foul trouble.
Yeah,
and
now at the line.
and now they have no backup big. It's Thomas Bryant. They're gonna play small, and now you have no rim protection for Giannis. Yeah. If Miles Turner gets into foul trouble, they legitimately have no deterrence at the rim at all. And the Bucks this year finished the season first in 3-point percentage. So even with the supporting cast not being the best, they have some knockdown shooters with Gary Trent and Brook Lopez and Taurean Prince and Giannis having that spacing and the defense forcing to collapse, and now you're leaving these open shooters wide open with these shots. Like, I think it is more of a conversation. The Brook Lopez dynamic on defense worries me for the Bucks because they'll play a lot of drop, and that's going to generate a lot of shots for the Pacers. And I think they'll be pulling offensively. But what happens when Giannis is at the 5? What happens when they put him at the 5 and you can switch those actions and you can negate that? He can make a big difference, not just offensively, but defensively in the series.
The issue is when you play Giannis at the 5, you have to play someone who's better than Brook Lopez in other spots. Like, can they really do that?
But if you play Giannis and Porter,
you play Giannis at the 5, you pull him out from the rim because more than likely Indiana's going to have 4 to 5 shooters out there.
Like, the Bucks don't have a lot of names that stick out at you, but recently Ryan Rollins has been playing really well. Kevin Porter Jr. has been playing really well. AJ Green off the bench has been awesome. And Bobby Portis is back now. So, like, if Dame comes back, I'm kind of thinking, like, I saw Dame last year go to what, five games, I think, against.
He gave him a good series.
Yeah,
but it was
he
also
averaged
without
30.
Giannis, though.
Yeah, but Middleton
was
averaged
also playing pretty
26.
well,
Him and Middleton were great.
So I'm just looking at all these other factors, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of, my gut feeling is kind of telling me the Bucks. That's my gut feeling.
It's a 50-50.
It's telling me the Bucks. I thought I was gonna be up here and say Pacers, and I thought I was gonna stick to it, but my gut, like my just natural instinct, is just remaining consistent with the logic that even if, I guess I'm inconsistent now if I'm picking the Bucks. I don't know, John. I think we're in the same boat, but just opposite sides of the spectrum here.
Yep.
You shit on John that whole time just to be the same guy.
Yeah, I think you're the West version of me. I'm going with the East. I don't know. It's just Dame coming back changes things for me.
You really don't know when he's going to be back. You don't know how many minutes he's going to play. You don't know how he's going to
If you told me that Dame was back game 2, I'd go with the Bucks in 7. But again, I'm expecting him to come back game 3 or 4 probably.
What if he comes back game 3?
I think that swings just a little bit because the Bucks, to me, if they go down 0-2, I think they're done. And if you don't have Dame the first 2 games, Giannis's responsibility is don't just be the best player in the world. You have to be so overwhelmingly better than the entire lineup that the Pacers have. And honestly, I believe that if you play Brook Lopez 30 minutes in this series, Miles Turner might average 20 points on good efficiency. Like, he could be that much of a difference maker in the short spots and the short pick and roll because I just don't think it's a great spot for him in this stage of his career.
Like the defenders that the Pacers have to throw at Giannis, Aaron Nesmith.
They can't go.
They don't have anybody.
It's Nemhard.
For
Giannis.
Oh my God.
For Giannis.
It's
sorry. I'm
Siakam's
thinking
like your
I'm
only
thinking
Siakam.
perimeter guy.
chance.
But who is it? It's Siakam,
Siakam.
it's Nesmith, and it's Jarris Walker.
Yeah.
They're good. They're cooked. But
You're not throwing
You
Jarris
you can
all
still
game.
win this
Jarris
series.
not
You know,
gonna play.
you can
You're
still
gonna
win
play
that
Obi,
series.
probably,
Jarris
so.
has played awesome, man.
He's in a spot where they have so many power forwards.
But they really need his defense this series, I think.
They draft him to bring that. He hasn't really played.
I'll be honest. Giannis can have 45 and they still lose the series.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. I mean, if he plays 40 minutes in this series, which is a lot, I mean, they could lose those 8 minutes by like 15 points.
I mean, he's going to have to play that.
Because the bench with McConnell and Mathurin and Obi Toppin, they just can go on some phenomenal runs, and they can really put them in a hole. That's why, I don't know, I'm struggling with this series. I'm kind of thinking of it now in real time of what I want to go. I think I'm going to go with the Pacers.
Oh my God, this guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking.
Get him.
I'm now thinking about the bench now. Like,
It's a
wow,
50-50 for
the
sure.
The bench minutes can sway it for
Well,
me.
they got Pat Collins dropped 35-40 in their last game of the season, game 82. And
Who?
Pat
They've
Connaughton.
got all
right,
this
right.
shooting.
Pat
The
Connaughton's
number one
good, man.
Because like thinking about it,
Hell no.
awful.
God no. I don't think.
thinking about it, game 3 if Dame comes back, I guess we're giving
They can win
Dame
4 straight.
we're giving Dame one game.
Really?
To
I don't
struggle.
think they're winning. They're not winning 4
They're
straight.
not winning 4.
Hey, listen, you
Put some respect into Indiana. That's crazy.
no,
That's
it's
crazy.
look. Indiana's home, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Indiana wins the first 2 at home. You don't it goes right back to Milwaukee. So Milwaukee can steal 2 at their own
You got to win
building.
4 out of 5 then.
Yeah, but now you're sitting there like, all right, it's 2-2. You get if you steal that one in game 5, you're back at home for game 6. It's not crazy. It's like it's happened before.
I think if the Bucks win this series, they got to steal one at Indiana in the first.
As
two
long
games.
as you leave Game 4 as tied, you're straight, man.
Like
I've seen the Kings and the Warriors. The Kings won their first 2 at home, and then Golden State went up there and they won their next 2 at home.
Like the way I feel about this series is that
Starting crazy out of this too.
He's a silly guy.
If the Pacers go up 2-0, Game 3, let's say Dame comes back,
must win.
I think Dame, his first game back in like a month, I think he's gonna struggle. So I think they can lose Game 3. They're down 3-0. It's over.
Oh yeah, it's
so
over.
that's why I think they need to win one of those games. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know.
I think it's more desperate. Like you go down 0-2, it's definitely like, all right.
I'm just trusting the
Cards on the
stats.
table.
And there's probably more pressure on Dame at that point if you're down 2-0. You probably try to rush him like, hey, come on, you think you're ready?
Yeah,
There's
I do
like
wonder how urgent it is and how desperate they are about rushing it back compared to he's 100% good to go.
Yeah.
It's a very like touchy.
This still
very
feels kind
dangerous
of like
issue.
this
Listen,
miraculous. I don't know. It still
I
feels a little
remember
weird.
It doesn't feel
Clippers
right.
versus Dallas. Clippers were down 0-2, and like Dallas won the first 2 games.
Yeah.
You get a Herculean performance from your best player. You get back up. You win 2 straight. Now it's 2-2.
They also
the
didn't have a
Boban
player
series,
coming back from
they're
injury.
starting him.
That's also a good point.
Because like, what if Giannis is just like dominating the first 2 games and then Dame comes back and it's like we have a lot of Dame possessions and
It's
stuff.
very likely,
So I'm just gonna go with the stats.
Are
The
you gonna pick a
Pacers.
team? Who you picking?
Yeah, one of 7
Why are you being
teams.
Flip a
inconsistent?
coin.
You took the Clippers. Now you're gonna take the.
He was locked in on the Clippers. He would not pick Denver.
Well, if I take the Pacers, I'm being consistent with the Clippers logic.
Yeah.
But you took Bucks first, so why didn't you think about Denver? You didn't think at all about Denver.
I just think that
James Harden.
the Clippers are just better.
James Harden.
I have a good feeling about it, but it's I think with the Bucks, there's like motives on both sides because the Pacers' motive is we want to prove to everybody that last year wasn't a fluke, and even if the Bucks are healthy, we're gonna whoop their ass.
Yeah.
I think the Bucks are like, yeah, you guys beat us last year because we were hurt.
Yep.
But when we're healthy, we're gonna beat you.
But this year they're hurt again.
Only
for the first couple
Dame,
games.
yeah, Dame. But like
That's
Giannis,
important.
Giannis being 100%, I think is just the biggest swing because
course, yeah.
last year he wasn't available at all. So that's why I think there's like motives on both sides. There's that rivalry on both sides and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think if Turner stays out of foul trouble, they win this series.
And that's another interesting thing because last year without Giannis at all, they still took it to 6 with him and Middleton.
That's what
playing
I'm
so
saying. Like it was a tough series, and now you're
Wasn't
bringing back
easy.
Giannis.
Yeah, this Pacers team I think is better.
I do agree. Bennett Mathurin not being there last year and then being there this year.
They have more
that's a
confidence this
benefit.
year too. I think making that ECF run, you got more confidence in yourself. Like, oh yeah,
And
we can beat
Halliburton's
the
better
Bucks.
now
Halliburton's
too.
playing better now.
He's playing better.
I think
Yeah,
Turner's playing a little better.
Halliburton can average maybe 28 in a series.
And though Nemhard's not going to have
28.
that blow up.
20 and
Be
8, I'm
fucking
assuming.
serious.
Not
No,
28.
28.
Hallie averaging 28.
28 and 13.
20 and 8. Yeah.
Yeah, that
20 and
28 is
11.
just not. That's not his
And
vibe.
8.
20,
I'm
25 and 12.
I'm seeing 20 and 15.
I don't
Halliburton-
think
Assist.
it's more
I
than
can see that.
Halliburton 25 and 12 this series.
25 and 12.
I'm going with the
I don't-
Pacers
I
in
don't see
6. I changed my
I
mind.
say Hallie's at 20 and 15. 20 points, 15 assists.
22
on
and
average,
11.
15 assists.
I can see him averaging 15 assists for 25 points. I swear to God.
What's the
that's
most
just him.
assist average in a playoff series?
Gotta be like 13.
What's Stockton did? Like
feels like
16?
a shit ton.
Stockton like 16, 17 or some shit like
Let's
that.
see.
Yeah, it's
Or
definitely
Magic.
Stockton
Magic
one.
was at 15.
Magic might be 2, and then
Chris Paul, I think he did a couple double 12s.
Chris Paul and Nash, maybe.
Nash for sure.
I don't know if Kidd had a series that
MJ
high in
averaged
assists.
11 for a series, I think.
Magic had the most. Oh no, that was a playoff career.
We just need a series, brother.
Yeah.
This guy's
Well, it's career.
Maybe
It's
Elfrid Payton's on
game.
that list.
Jesus Christ.
I just got to stick with my guns in the Pacers, man.
Talk, man.
Oh,
Again.
It's
You
your
gotta
fault,
find a
isn't
new
it?
spot.
Yeah,
for
this
your
is
phone.
again-
You
Yo, bro,
gotta find a
stop
new
putting
spot
it-
for
we,
your
almost, we
phone.
almost made an entire show without it happening.
Yo,
It
put
was
it like
towards the
right
end.
here, like in the
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah, that's usually where I do it, but I guess.
That was you okay?
what?
You
I
looked
thought
at
I thought I found it. It's NHL.
I'm just trusting the analytics with the Pacers. Like they're one of the 7 teams to be 500 against 500 teams. They've had one of the
That's
best win
solid odds.
percentage since January. I think a lot of the stats just kind of point to them being better.
The Bucks just don't have a cohesive
Hold on, do we
lineup.
got it?
They just don't have enough guys that they can put together in a
This guy's
5-man
terrible.
unit.
Oh, I have to go to Reddit. I have to update Reddit. Hold on.
Ah, shit, here we go again.
This guy's awful. Him and Drew.
Can you find it?
Yeah, probably.
I'd love to see you try.
I bet.
I'd love to see
Yeah,
you try.
and I think it's tougher because in one specific
Reddit's not
playoff
downloading.
series, it's tougher than who just averages the most assists per game in the playoffs. It's a different question.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In one playoff series, there's been so many playoff series.
15.2.
Who was it?
Magic.
I found it.
Wow.
15.2. Magic did it back-to-back years in 85 and 86.
For a
Then it was stopped.
you see how fast
I was on the website.
If you guys watched the House of Highlights video, OG versus the 10 Gen Z dudes, if you're watching this podcast right now, if you go watch that, like the first 15 minutes of the video, you're gonna see somebody is arguing that like Magic would have been Ben Simmons in this era. And he kind of like ruined all of our credibility and validity with that. Like it was kind of tough because it's 10 people.
Back from it.
Yeah, because it was
It was like a group grade for all.
Yeah, it was. We definitely all got grouped into like the 10 people. So you know, if you have a couple of dumb people in there that are
Be polite.
To be fair, I don't want to say that they're dumb, but I think
take was a hard one
But
to say,
I think that they just went up there and talked to be ignorant. Like, I don't think that they, like, I knew he was just fucking around with him saying Ben Simmons, you know, Magic would have been Ben Simmons' era. Like, he's just fucking around, so I don't think he actually believes that. He was just trying to be funny.
Yeah.
But it kind of ruins, like, the entire group's credibility with that because it was me, Dells, Drew, and Riv. That's 4 people. Then we had the Deep 3. That's 3 people. Then we had this girl, Maddie, who works for Enjoy Basketball. She has this WAG talk, like she interviews NBA wives and stuff. It's really cool. And then the last 2 people were like this 15-year-old in high school.
And Jacob, right?
This ass was tall as hell.
Yeah, he was.
He was quarterback.
Yeah.
It was like 6'4".
And then the
15.
other dude was like, I think
you.
an employee of House of Highlights, and he like went up there and said the Ben Simmons stuff. Like none of us were saying something like that. So a lot of the comments were just talking about that moment, and it just ruined like what could have just been like a more productive, I think, debate and conversation.
Y'all want to spend 5-10 minutes talking about what Rodgers said today?
What did he say?
You saw him on the Pat McAfee show.
I'm
Yeah,
done.
I did see
I'm
it.
done with him. He
Actually,
retired.
tell me
Go
what he
right to
said.
the sunset. I don't
Tell me
want
what he
you
said.
on my team.
I'm curious. I didn't see it. I
He
didn't
said, he said a lot. He said some stuff about where he is currently. He had a very interesting quote. What did he say? He said,
I didn't listen.
He
I don't
said,
give
I'm
a shit.
open to anything but attached to nothing. I was like, all right, that's
the
the bar.
fuck does that mean?
But more specifically, Locked On Jets. So, of course, they had the Jets and Aaron Rodgers decided to part ways a few months ago. But Aaron Rodgers explains what happened, basically, right? So he flew out to New York on his own dime, by his account, to meet with Aaron Glenn and
paid for
Darren
it.
Muji. He paid for it. I
Wow.
mean, he's got $hundreds of millions.
Honorable,
for it.
man.
God forbid. He did.
Him adding that is funny.
He got to One Jets Drive. He goes to sit down, have a conversation with Aaron Glenn, talking for a couple minutes. All of a sudden, Aaron Glenn runs out the room. 15 seconds later, he comes back into the room. He looks at Aaron Rodgers in the eye and says, "You want to play football?" Rodgers said, "Yeah, I think so." He said, "We're going to go another direction," and then just left. I was like, oh, shit.
Wow.
And Rodgers basically like, yeah, I think that was disrespectful. He said, I'm not surprised over the 2 years I've seen there that happened, which was like, there's different people in charge in the 2 years we were there, but regardless. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I just thought if, I'm someone who's been in the league for like 20 years, I thought he'd want to pick my brain. I thought I could say like who could be leaders on this team, who I think could take a step up, X, Y, and Z. It's like, I had a strong feeling they'd want to go in a different direction, but I thought I would get more respect is basically what he had to say. Which is interesting.
That's kind of crazy, though.
I think the Jets over the last 2 years catered to Aaron Rodgers, right? I think for the most part they brought in Tim Boyle and Randall Cobb and all the guys we always list that paid Alan Lazard $44 million when no one else was probably giving him 30. So I thought the Jets did basically everything they could to make Aaron Rodgers comfortable and make him want to be a New York Jet. And to Rodgers' credit, he wanted to be a Jet and he loved being a Jet. I think for those 2 years, like he was. When he went on the McAfee show, he was going to New York games. He was always saying the right things in the media, so 1,000% I give him the credit for it. But to do the shit he did today, it was just, I don't know, it was kind of weird. Like, because for the most part, Aaron Rodgers, like, even when he left Green Bay, there was another team, like, the Jets wanted him. We wanted him bad. Right now, no one really wants him. You know what I mean? Like, the Steelers kind of are flirting with him. The Vikings kind of flirting.
They want him because they have no other option. What drives me crazy as a Steeler fan, Rodgers has one suitor. It's Pittsburgh because they waited on Wilson. He signs the Giants. They let Fields go to the Jets, and their only options were Aaron or trading for Kirk Cousins' lump sum contract, which makes no sense at all. And your only quarterback in the roster now is Mason Rudolph and then Skylar Thompson. So we're obviously the only suitor for Aaron Rodgers. And with no one else being interested, I would think as a fan, you're either committed to the Steelers or committed to retiring. And I'm done waiting playing this game where Rodgers is indecisive and he's not committed to the team. And if I'm Pittsburgh at that point, I'm not waiting that long for a 41-year-old to make a decision. I'm moving forward. Yeah. Especially if I understand with the
He
Jets.
just had nothing to move forward with.
There wasn't a culture necessarily that he's a lot like Kevin Durant, where he needs to be added into a culture that's already built, like the Warriors. I don't look at him as a culture builder. And that's the same thing with the Steelers, where they're a little bit different. They have a culture where if he steps in, they can win 10 games, and he'll retire in a year.
Do that regardless.
And then you're in the same exact cycle of another year, a new quarterback. And I think as a Steeler fan, it's annoying, it's frustrating because the team doesn't have a vision, and they waited on Rodgers, which was a poor decision and a misstep by their front office, and now they're paying the price. I think Pittsburgh's going to take a D lineman in the draft, and maybe they swing on a bad quarterback and a mediocre at best quarterback class the way they did 2 years ago. So it's very frustrating as a Steeler fan to be stuck in the whirlwind of Aaron Rodgers' indecisiveness, and I'm honestly tired of it. As a Steeler fan, this is probably the lowest I've felt in a long time. Okay, it's clear to me at this point there's no vision whatsoever at the quarterback position.
Oh.
There's precedent.
Beggars can't be choosers. You just said there's no other option. It's Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, or Aaron Rodgers.
I'm rolling Mason. I really don't care at this point.
Yeah.
I did it. I probably Aaron Glenn should have showed him more respect, but
That's fake crazy.
when you ask somebody if they want to play quarterback and their answer isn't a resounding yes, it's a I think so. Kind of like feels like you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So Aaron Glenn kind of ending that abruptly and saying, "Yeah, we're not moving forward with you," because he's not committal. So it's like we're not gonna waste our time and wait on you because we need to make these moves now. So I understand why Aaron Glenn was like that. Maybe he becomes a good head coach. I'm not really like that invested into saying if he's going to be great or not.
I don't know if he's going to be great, but I think Aaron Rodgers has basically been praised as a king and has gotten his feet kissed for the last 2 years by Saleh and Joe Douglas and the whole organization. And all of a sudden someone comes in and be like, I don't really give a fuck what you do. Like, we're going to go in a different direction. I think that was the first time Rodgers has heard that in 2 years.
Yeah, this has been dragged out, though. It's like a storyline every week of, like, where he's going to go. Like, you can make a topic about it every week for the last, 2 months.
Where can he go outside Pittsburgh?
There's no reason for the Vikings to be in
The Vikings, I think that's realistic.
But they seem pretty adamant
JJ
on going
McCarthy
JJ.
missed an entire rookie
Or
year. Got the rookie contract.
Someone gets hurt in camp. Someone goes down with an injury, season
Maybe,
ending.
Yeah, that's, I think, probably, that's what he's maybe waiting on to see what happens. And that's why he's, like, not committed to anything because maybe something like that does happen because the Steelers are a good spot and a good culture.
They
but
want him.
that offensive line is a big question mark.
You can say it's a big question mark, but at the end of the day, they lost 3 stars of the year at a point last year. And this year, you're bringing in one of the youngest groups that had a good year of development. I think Fautanu is going to be a very good player at tackle. It's just a matter of Broderick Jones and what spot he's playing. That's the only question to me.
And there's a lot of questions.
Frazier's not a question. Samuelu's not much of a question unless he's hurt.
He's
McCormick's
average.
solid. All right, so you have a really good center, 2 average guards, and then Troy Fautanu projects to be a good tackle. That's not a bad old.
Projects. There's a lot of projection involved.
He was hurt all of it.
Like
He
if
lost him
if
for the
you're
entire
if
season.
you're a Steelers fan, so you're looking at that glass half full. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you don't know like half of these dudes.
He sucks.
Like you don't know their names. Like you're just like I don't know if this guy's good or not. Like there's no reputation.
You
for
don't
them.
know these names.
You really don't.
Yo,
so
that's mad
with
funny.
the
The Steelers feel the same about Rodgers. I don't know if
He's
this
not
kid's good or
bro,
not.
With the
Minnesota doesn't
Vikings,
want him, bro.
it's like Darrisaw, O'Neal, Fries.
Bro, let the
Ryan
Vikings
Kelly.
Go. Let the Vikings go. He's not. The Vikings don't
Why
want him,
would
bro.
they sign him?
They don't want him. He's
You've
not
got
good.
JJ McCarthy's rookie contract. Why would you waste another year?
They
with
don't want him.
Rodgers
What if
starting
something happens and like by week 5 they need him?
They'll get Teddy Bridgewater.
They're not going to sign him week 5.
Yeah.
Why not? If let's say
If
God
I'm the
forbid,
Vikings,
You're
I
praying
moved
he
up
goes
for
to the
God forbid
McCarthy.
McCarthy's out. McCarthy's out 4 weeks. Shoulder.
Shoulder.
If he gets hurt in like August and Rodgers has some time to like learn the playbook and shit, but like to do mid-season, Rodgers 41 years old coming out hasn't played football. Like, come on, that's
So he's begging for it. He's begging.
I think if Rodgers tells the Vikings, all right, you know what, I'll be a backup.
did they sign
They're
Josh
signing
Dobbs? Who the Vikings
That
signed
sounds
somebody?
right.
They signed some backup quarterback.
That sounds right.
I mean, obviously not anything special, but they had somebody.
Yeah. I don't know.
So Rodgers is a Steeler.
I don't think so.
All I know he's not a top 20 quarterback.
John is just upset that
On their
is
depth
upset.
chart, it's only JJ at the moment.
I thought
yeah,
signed
they don't
somebody.
have anybody, so
Where'd
he
Josh
could very
Dobbs
well
go?
go there.
Yeah, every young quarterback needs a mentor, and it sounds right that Dobbs signed.
He signed with the Patriots.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What if they had Rodgers could go in there and say, you know what, I'll go compete for the job instead of just being a locked-in starter on the Steelers.
Yeah. Oh, in Pittsburgh or Minnesota?
Minnesota.
I think it's a healthy mindset for Minnesota to have they need a mentor. I think every young quarterback needs it.
How does
but
Rodgers feel if he loses that job? Is he just going to be in the background like I'm cool?
it depends on how he loses. I think if he loses it fair, I think he's fine. But if he like,
Fair is subjective.
but okay,
A
but
little subjective.
beat reporters will be at the training camp.
Yeah.
If they're there and they're like, no, Rodgers looks fucking better than him,
Okay,
and he loses the job and
training
doesn't win it,
Rodgers
I
never
think-
had any issues with reporters ever. You know, he trusts journalism 100%.
but I'm saying, but
big
okay,
journalism
but
guy.
all right,
Yeah.
he might not trust it, but I'm saying we would trust it. If the reporters say that Rodgers is outplaying him and he doesn't win the job, then yeah, that's gonna be something that's like, okay, maybe you should have won it, you know. So I think maybe
My
he's holding
issue
out for
is
that.
He lauds Tomlin for how great of a culture builder he is and how much he left to play for him, and every veteran would. And if that's the case, I'd like you to actually stay on that and sign in Pittsburgh, where you have a defense that's looking like it's one of its last years being at a high level. And I get some people that say the offense line's improving. The entire offense line was hurt last year, and it still was a respectable unit in moments where it did get a couple of guys back. So it's just frustrating as a fan to hear everyone praise Tomlin and Rodgers like, yeah, I think I want to retire. And I kind of saw that coming, so
Yeah, you know,
I don't really care.
it's unfortunate. If he does retire, we won't be able to see another top 10 season out of him. That was
You're not
coming.
going to see another one.
You haven't seen that in
If
years.
he went to the
We haven't seen
Vikings,
that
it
since
would
we haven't seen a
22.
top 10 season from him since like his MVP year.
Yeah. It's been
It would
3
have
years.
happened with the Vikings this year. If he-
You gotta let it go, bro.
Give it up.
Let it go. Let it go. You're
Can't
doing
wait.
that thing you do with Zach Wilson.
Took
Ja-
Gino over
no,
him.
no, no, relax.
You're holding on.
Gino's
It's been
amazing.
3 years.
Lock in with
I
Gino.
said, excuse me, you took Rodgers over Gino. So I should
Right
say.
now, rank the 4 AFC West quarterbacks.
Mahomes 1.
Bo Nix is
Herbert
last.
2, Bo Nix 3, and
Ooh,
Gino 4.
I would take Gino over Knicks.
It's close. It's very close.
Knicks last. Gino
No, it's
third.
not.
Herbert
Yeah,
second.
it is.
Mahomes
Feel like
one.
that's
That's
pretty
locked.
You can go Gino
the
at
fuck?
3.
Who put Gino?
but
You did?
He
I put him
he
at 4. I put Bo Nix at 3.
Why?
Bo Nix has had a really damn good
What
rookie
would Bo
season.
Nix have done in that Seattle offense last
Oh, it
year?
would have been rough.
It would have been
Damn
ugly.
near-
It would have been ugly.
It would have been.
Nah,
So
Gino-
sitting
Gino
there
better
does
right now.
gives you some
consider
true
what-
opinions.
To consider what to consider what it can look like this year, you add more weapons in the room, and another year for a rookie to improve as much as he did
He's like
from, the,
30.
from the first
Oh,
4.
for sure.
He's
What does
25.
Bo Nix do better than Gino?
It's not Bo Nix slander.
I
He's
think
a
a lot
better
of it's
athlete.
it's a lot of it's the athleticism.
But let me ask you
The
something.
first let me
Who
finish.
got- no,
the
no.
first 4 weeks, the end of the season, his improvement was pretty
He's all right.
pretty
Like,
noteworthy.
Gino's better.
Who got a better arm?
Gino.
Gino.
Who's
Bo
better?
Nix got a
more
good
ac-
arm.
who's
though. I
more?
don't know.
Yeah,
That's-
it's not a
that's-
bad
that's
arm.
a little close.
Who's more accurate?
Gino.
Gino.
Comfortably.
Gino.
Bo is accurate though.
Gino
Who's
is
better
way
at-
more
It's not
accurate.
like an easy. I have to think.
Who
about
has
it.
Gino's a
better-
better pocket passer.
Who is that? Who has better pocket management?
Gino.
He's a better quarterback.
Gino.
Like, what does Bo Nix do better than him?
Runs.
I think that's the only
Better
thing.
athlete.
Runs. He's a better
Yeah.
athlete. There's nothing wrong with that either. That's,
Bo's got
that's
good zip
important.
on his ball though.
You're acting
he's-
like you're
he's
acting
got
like
good
it's
arm.
Gino can make better big time
a gap
throws for
between
sure.
them in terms
Yeah,
of
especially, like, under
accuracy and
pressure.
arm strength.
Oh yeah, it's a big gap. Accuracy,
I
it's
don't
a
see it
big
that
gap.
way. I don't
Geno
see it that
Smith
way.
was the number 1 on target percentage quarterback in the league.
Took him over Hurts.
Bo Nix was not as accurate
Then he
as
didn't take
he was not nearly as accurate as Gino last year.
The thing that kind of makes it a close
And he did.
conversation for me is Bo Nix really extend the play, and his
That matters.
His I
Gino
think-
can extend plays too with his legs.
I think
He has a
yeah,
Geno
but
crush.
it's not the same level. I think his selling point is really the fact that he
it's not the
improved
same level.
Talk, John. Talk.
improved-
But this Bo
John.
Nix, he had like
No, he's
what?
saying as a rusher.
I
No,
know,
he- no,
like
he's saying he's
300
not-
rushing yards.
No, he's talking about in general. John feels in his heart it's not close.
His
say how
improvement
many
as a
first
rookie
attempts.
moving forward in Sean Payton's offense compared to what Geno's gonna be dealing with in Las Vegas. To me, I look at the two situations they're in. I'm expecting Bo Nix to have a better
Outside
Next
of-
at 430.
Outside of straight line speed, what did Gino have? Like 200, 300?
Check.
Outside of straight line speed, Bo Nix, like, he does nothing better as a quarterback than Gino. Like, there's
Yeah,
nothing
but he's
he does
also a
better.
lot younger. He was a rookie this year.
that's
and
not-
he's still
270?
still
Yeah.
That's
he's
not
still
saying anything.
even at that. Even while he was a rookie this year, you saw the improvement, and you look at.
So you're projecting, not saying who's better now. Like, who's a better quarterback? You're
I mean,
projecting
Bo
Nix
Nix
to
is
be
better this last season.
Oh shit, John.
So-
Yeah, get gritty,
No, he
John.
wasn't.
Get
That's,
gritty,
that's
John.
tough.
By what, the raw stats?
It's just the situations are so different.
Situation was different. Gino had to deal with more.
So
I'm
Baker's
talking
better
shit.
than Mahomes?
Yes. Oh.
He had a better year than Mahomes.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Let's end this
I
show.
didn't expect that, John.
Let's end this
I
show.
did not expect that, and I
And
love you for that, John.
When I look at the two quarterbacks, I'm expecting Bo Nix to continue.
Who else had a
improving.
better season
I don't
than
think
Mahomes?
Gino's going to look better.
Keep going.
in
Like,
Vegas.
keep going on the list.
So the Mahomes not he wasn't like a top.
He wasn't
10
top 10
last
He
this
year.
year?
was, but Baker was too. They're both top.
He was like
10
top.
quarterbacks.
What? Mahomes like bottom 3
I
at
don't
the top
have
10.
it. I don't have.
So
it
Bo Nix is better than
computerized,
Jalen Hurts?
What?
but- I mean, come on.
I'm not-
Well, no,
answer
I don't know what
answer
that means.
Yeah,
That's
we don't
not
know,
easy
we don't
for
know
you.
what that
Yeah.
means. Answer that. You got to answer
Yeah.
that.
I mean, the regular season, Bo Nix had a better year, but consider the playoffs, how well Hurts played the last two, and specifically the
You
championship
take
game.
Hurts, right?
Bo Nix better than
yeah.
Kyler Murray?
Oh, fuck.
Bo Nix had a better year than Kyler. I mean, you saw the Cardinals driving in the front row seat to win the division.
Who would you
and
rather
then
have on your team, John?
Bo
Bo
Nix
Nix
or
or
Kyler
Kyler?
moving forward, not including contract?
Just see who's better quarterback. Yeah.
No contract. I'll go. I think at this
You
point,
can't just kick contracts.
I'm
like
a
that.
Kyler
Well,
Kyler
I'm
guy,
just seeing who
but-
you think's better quarterback.
Yeah, who's a better quarterback?
Because obviously rookie deal. I get
the
that.
way Kyler and the Cardinals let their foot off the gas on the year when they had the chance to win the division, to me,
Kyler
that was
fumbled.
the second time we've seen that. I think moving forward, I'd rather have Bo Nix.
Wow.
But it's very close. It's a matter of, I think you see the Cardinals in multiple different occasions just kind of fall off when they're in first place in the NFC West. And I
Baker
think
or Herbert?
that Baker or Herbert was last year.
Should just hurt my eye.
Herbert had a better year. Yeah. Herbert's obviously the better quarterback. Herbert, to me, just looking at the regular season, he had a better year than him.
He did not
Baker or
use it.
Stroud?
Last year? Well, that's close too.
Baker had a better year.
Baker
He did
did.
better than Stroud.
Baker
He had a
did.
better year.
But Stroud, I think, kind of had an underrated year because of how much he had to deal with.
Fucking
He had to
dad.
deal with so much
What
bullshit.
about Gino?
Fucking clowns.
Gino had to
too.
deal with bullshit too. They couldn't
Yeah.
run the ball. They couldn't
Yeah.
protect him.
True.
Play calling was a little iffy sometimes.
Yeah.
Better than that
But
shit
there's so
over
many
there in
injuries at
Houston.
wide receiver with Nico and
Talk,
Tank
John,
Dell
man.
and Stephon. He
These
didn't even
guys-
have the
some
weapons.
guys on this table
I
hate-
think it was an even worse situation than with Gino.
Some guys at this
Tank
table
Dell
hate on
got
CJ,
hurt like
man.
week 12 though.
Yeah, but he wasn't the same player coming off his
Nico got hurt,
injury
too.
last
Nico
year.
got hurt week
Nico missed half
5?
Nico had an amazing start to miss so much of the year, and Diggs,
He was
of
like
course,
week
gets
5,
hurt
week
right
6.
after
I
as
think he
well.
got hurt before the Jets game
The
again.
Seahawks, JSN and DK. DK got hurt too. DK was on
Yeah, but
pace to have his
JSN was
best
healthy,
season.
and JSN
And Nico was healthy for the
Nah,
majority
it was
of
And
the
he had
season.
Lockett,
it was
too.
a point Stroud was
So-
rolling out there with nobody.
Yeah.
And
It
you
was-
had, at a certain point in
Like
time,
Dalton Schultz,
JSN,
I think, like, that was it.
Metcalf, and Lockett.
John
as well.
Mechie.
Yeah, Joe
Lockett was
Mixon.
not good.
Okay.
Yeah,
You can say-
Lockett got cut. He hasn't got picked up, I don't think.
Yeah, that's true. As your third
I would love
No,
the Jets
as your
to get
third,
Tyler
he's
Lockett,
not even on
one-year
a
deal.
team right now, John.
last year,
No, based on last year, he was not good. He didn't
Tyler
get
Lockett
open.
was not good. He's literally unemployed.
Jake Bobo was the third best receiver on the team.
Like I said, I would take Tyler Lockett on the Jets.
Better season. No, better season merchant.
Good bet.
All right. That's gonna do it for this episode of Pick a Side Podcast, episode 480. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back for some more NBA playoff coverage this Sunday night, after all the games.
Okay.
We'll be here. Yes. Or it could be in the studio, virtual. It doesn't matter. You know, virtual.
virtual.
We're just
Every
gonna.
game is done after Sunday.
Yeah, all the
Yeah,
game
right.
ones.
All the game
Yeah.
ones.
So we will be here Sunday night, talking, giving you our breakdowns of what happened. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.